All right, Herp House Rock, we got our Christmas special. That's right, doing the Christmas special dance. We have Chad, who's going to be our Christmas special guru, the special guest, and then more than that special guest, we have Will from Royal Canadian Reptiles. So you got to hang on for this episode.
Okay, nice. So just for the record, William, did you get your name right? Is that your company name? Is that official?
That's it.
Didn't roll off his tongue like it rolls off your tongue when you say it. So I just had to make sure.
I mean, RCR is pretty much going to go by now. It's a lot easier. Yeah,
I've never heard anybody say that ever, so I don't think that's a thing.
Okay, good. Marketing's working. Yeah.
But tight. Well, again, I'm excited. Like we said, we got fucking Chad here, our new official holiday mascot. Ben, like always, Ryan back there in that little cloudy area. He'll move forward a little bit in a minute, and fucking William. This is good. William, we don't have to hear about too much of your background. You're a ball python breeder, and we know it's gonna be very limited. So why don't you just give us a little taste of William in the early days, and let's get talking a little bit.
What do you want to know, man?
Okay, William, don't make this hard. That was a real general question, bud.
I don't know where you're putting me on the spot here. So my name's Will. I breed ball python just like everybody else in the world, it seems like. Got into snakes, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, something like that. And rest is history.
Okay, I like that intro. That was solid. That
was probably the fastest one we've ever had.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Mean, I breed ball pythons. What else is there to know? Like, I mean, just like everybody else.
You could be a little more passionate about it. You know, give us a little.
You could do that. I mean, I suppose I could do like just like everybody else. I collected snakes as a kid, but that's honestly a lie. I didn't. So.
Well, that's cool. I know you're from Canada. I don't even know if you guys have snakes. You have garbage snakes.
We barely do. We see like one a year.
All right. I think we're losing it. Me fucking with William for 2 hours is not going to work. So we're going to go another direction. Okay, William. How about this? You got into snakes. Canadian market's the Canadian market. What made you even do it in the first place? What was that ball python mutation? What exactly made you all of a sudden say, I want to go after this?
So for me, it was the caramel glow. So a hypo caramel that Mandic produced. I thought it was just unreal, craziest thing I'd ever seen. And so I went in. The funny thing is, I went in heavy right off the bat with caramels. Turns out that probably wasn't the best idea.
I did the same. Huge failure. Huge failure.
Yeah. It was like the first two projects were like caramel albino and then the desert. And
yeah, I did both.
Yikes. It was like kicking the nuts back to back, but just kept going. And it's just a lot of fun. Love doing it. So that's sort of.
That's tight. And what we were talking the other day, you started breeding around 2008, 2009 season?
Yeah, roughly around that time. Yeah.
Okay, real nice. And you know, let's get into a big topic, man. I want to talk Desert Ghost because Chad's been messaging me 40 times a day about Desert Ghost. Everyone's got this Desert Ghost hard on right now, so I'm all about it. William, you started working on some interesting projects back in 2011, kind of a little further ahead than most people even thought about doing it. Why don't we talk a little bit about what you've been doing with Desert Ghost for the last decade?
A lot of double heads, man. It's pretty much just pretty much what we did. We picked up Desert Ghost and Puzzle relatively early on, and natural thing was to put them together, make the double heads. We made the double head DG Clowns, double head DG Pies, and now we've been able to make all of the visuals of those combos. When we first started, like double recessives wasn't really like the thing to do, you know? Like it seems like that's the last 5 years it's really taken off as the double recessive is the only way to go. But when we just the snake that actually got us to really jump into Desert Ghost was a Desert Ghost clown that Mark and Kim Bell had made. There was pictures of it floating around on Google, and I just was like, holy shit, this thing's awesome. So that's sort of why we went the DG Clown route. But the real reason we picked up Desert Ghost was because like when we were buying stuff in 2010, 2009, like bananas were like 50 grand. and it was like, GHI was like 18,000, but a pastel Desert Ghost was like that $3,500 range. So it wasn't like this crazy amount of money, and we could pick up these really, really awesome looking animals. We brought them in, and honestly, nobody gave a shit about him because of the name. I think everyone thought it was like a desert hypo, and it wasn't. It's its own thing. I knew that.
It was strictly the name that set that back, in my opinion.
I think so, yeah. And we knew it right from the get-go that it was something different, but I just got tired of explaining to people over and over. This is not desert. This is not ghost. It's its own thing. So I just call it DG now. Move on. But it's been. I love the project. I love Desert Ghost is one of those genes where just every combo I want to see it with DG because it's just so clean, so bright, so awesome. I like it.
Yeah. No, me and Chad were talking about the other day. The reality is back when DG was kind of coming into its own, like you said, 2009, 2010, you had Kevin McCurley at Tinley with a lot of real badass, big 2,500 gram females just glowing on the table. But those are still the days where you could put 5 codoms together and ask $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and why you gonna put that extra step of a recessive in it? So it took a long time, but everybody in the industry has the recessive bug now. We're obsessed with anything recessive, and it's coming into its own. But like you said, out of all the recessive genes out there, what makes that one the best, and I'm sure everyone agrees, is it's just going to crisp everything up. Like you could put it in every combo. It's not going to change your pattern. It's not going to change anything about it. It's just going to make it really defined and really crispy. And that's why I like Desert Ghost. And that's why fucking Chad's all hard about it. He's bought God knows how many in the last year.
I slept on it forever. I didn't buy it until last year.
Yeah.
And I got a clutch on the ground now, so hopefully I'll see some visuals that real soon. So
I love it. It's just so. The thing with Desert Ghosts is they look like shit as babies. Like straight up.
They're pretty average.
When you hatch them, they're like, this thing's kind of like, it just looks like a clean version of that respective combo. But then it's that like 3rd, 4th, 5th shed. They just they transform. It's just like they radioactive. They have a glow to them. I think there's a ton to do. Excuse me. Ton to do with it.
For sure, man. Ben and Ryan, you guys in that project? Yeah, you guys have a little Desert Ghost every, right? At least one.
We have a double het, pastel lace double het DG Clown, and we have the Mario het Desert Ghost. But that's about it. We've been trying to buy females for the past couple of years, and almost everywhere you turn is sold out. So
yeah.
Hot product right now, man.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about like that 3rd or 4th shed, completely transform the animal. Working with Ben's collection, I tell you guys all the time, I got Desert Ghost popping up over here and completely random. And honestly, like the first clutch I held back where there was one where I was like, man, this thing's weird. I think this can be a Desert Ghost. The other 4 that I marked as possible fire combos all ended up being Desert Ghost too once we got to that 5th, 6th, 7th shed. So like anything we make over here, like I'm always having to sit on things a little longer because I don't know when I'm going to make a Desert Ghost. That's the reality of things. These things are happening. They're popping up. I've made enough of them at this point. It's completely random. Half the time, it doesn't even make any sense. I think the first combo when I got here, I didn't even know what the male was he used on the female. And I think there was like 4 or 5 genes in co-dominance back in like 2017 that were all mixed in this Desert Ghost clutch. Just like everybody else, man, I think it's a sleeper project. I think there's a lot of reasons people didn't get into it for years, but I see everybody jumping on ship now, and I think it's a good thing because I think it's only going to strengthen every project.
I totally agree. I find Desert Ghost is one of those genes where you have to let it grow to be able to like correctly identify the combos too. Like some of them are tough to ID out of the egg. Even their 2nd, 3rd shed, they can be a little tricky, but as you get a little bit more size, they get a lot easier.
Yeah, no, for sure. And by the way, so I realize this now, the dynamics of this podcast is going to be a little peculiar. Chad's a little quiet, which makes me sad because I love his voice.
I'm listening, man. I've been checking out Will's stuff online and kind of, somewhat stalking his collection. It's I'm just enjoying the ride right now.
Okay, don't worry. We got a little time here. We're going to get into a real nice rhythm soon. I know we all said we were going to have a drink tonight. I went ahead. I'm in Florida, so I did the most appropriate thing I could. I bought a 4 Loko.
That is a very Florida thing to do.
Yeah, I'll be honest. the first sip was awful. It was really
Terrible.
bad. You know that hot flash you get when you eat mustard? Like that's what my body did when I took a sip of Four
Yeah.
Loko.
It's it's like your body's rejecting it.
Yeah, I got a bowl of pretzels, so I'm gonna be able to get
It's
through
telling you
this.
not to drink anymore.
Well, no, you don't drink the old ones anymore. I mean, we all know what happens when you drink the old ones. You broke into your neighbor's house, you took a shit, and then you left because
Yeah.
it smelled so
You
bad.
get
Broke into
arrested.
the other neighbor's house and slept on their couch. I miss the good old days of Four Loko.
And I'm over here with eggnog.
Yeah, is
Dude,
it spiked
I
eggnog
made-
though?
I made hot chocolate with Bailey's.
Ooh,
So effective.
So good.
Gingerbread cookies. What's up?
yeah.
Yeah.
And William, we know what you're doing. You're Canadian. It's cool, man. I'm into Christmas too. Which, by the way, and I told you before we fucking started this thing, I'm gonna fuck with you. I'm just gonna get it out of the way now. I would like to pre-apologize for William not dressing up in his festive Christmas clothes. The problem is in Canada is it's not even Christmas yet. They're about to do Thanksgiving in a couple days. They're a month behind us on everything. Like that shit hasn't even hit the shelves yet. So you can't really, I got a little mad at them. I'm not really that mad at them anymore. I get it. I get it. Your government runs very efficient. You just take all that extra bullshit we buy and we send it up there and you guys celebrate your holidays. I get it. I'm into it. But again, we're gonna let this one slide, but you'll never be a Christmas guest again. You lost the opportunity. Chad's allowed to come back, but William, I'm really sorry, bud. Unless you do a great job today, consider this your interview process, bud. If we enjoy this, you might get a call, buddy.
All right. I can fuck with that.
Well, you know
the fun
what?
thing about this is there's a mute button right here, and we can shut Dave up.
It would be such a quiet podcast if we did that. Nobody would be talking.
Well, you know what? Like I said, this is going to be a very unorthodox one because the reality is, this is not a, hey, let's interview William conversation. This is, I want to talk ball pythons. I want to talk history. I want to talk about all that shit that we always talk over Messenger because honestly, William and Chad are the two guys that talk ball pythons with the most. Nobody even comes close to the amount of ball python conversations I have. And the shit that comes out of William's mouth, I repeat and act like it's my own, and I do the same thing to Chad. So really, we're just going to be more material today.
So me and Chad should talk.
Yeah,
I have a question for you, Will. If we can go right to it. So what I just found out today that you've only been in since what, like 08 or 09. So that kind of blows my mind, and not just because of what you've done with your morphs and stuff like that, and the combos you've made, but just the success you've had. Like I've been in way longer, and it's not just a financial thing. It's just the fact that maybe when I started, there wasn't a million people doing it, and there wasn't a ton of information on how to do it. So I struggled for years and years and years trying to dial everything in problem after problem, and getting to the point where I have today, where I'm really productive. And it just amazes me that someone that can be in only 10, maybe 12 years tops can buy such a nice collection and be that productive with it that fast.
Yeah, it's been.
Who did you have like a mentor, or who did you use to basically dial in your husbandry, your feeding regimen, and your pairings and your breeding, and the A to Z of ball python breeding, like to get it done, to get it dialed in that quick is pretty impressive.
So my dad is a veterinarian, and basically we went into this together. We started off doing this together. We're still doing it together. It's a partnership here, and so he had that sort of science background as far as like breeding snakes. Not the actual breeding process we didn't really understand, but we had in the beginning I did a lot of business with Ralph Davis, and so I did quite a bit of business with Ralph Davis, and he sort of walked us through the do's and don'ts. What's that?
Oh, you're okay. Canada lost your internet for a second, but you paused. I thought you were gone forever. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm just going to
no,
sit
no,
back here and drink my Four Loko. That's my bad. That was a real moment I interrupted. I'm sorry.
So yeah, so Ralph was the guy. Like he was the guy, like where you'd go onto YouTube and be like, "Did Ralph post another video?" Like the super phantom shit he was making, the flat line, like that stuff was just like, what the fuck?
Like that was all before you probably bred snakes. Then that's a long time ago.
Well,
It was like we were acquiring snakes.
Yeah. Okay.
And anyways, so Mark Mandick lives only about 20 minutes from me. And so we got a lot of our original stock from Mark and from Ralph. Those would be the two spots. And I think we built like a good base right off the bat. But nothing really happened. Nothing really like significant in the collection really happened until we took the plunge on a big male.
Right.
And that changed everything.
That's a big difference.
The big genetic, like that huge genetic power in a male like that, especially when you have a rack of females that are ready for him. And he comes, you get two of those type of boys, and he comes in and runs through. And now you hold back all those girls, and that's how we sort of started. But we didn't do that. We started with like we went straight for the recessives right away. And it was just I don't know why. It was like because the codon craze was we got tired of seeing you buy a codon for $5,000 and a year from now it's $500. And we're like, how does this work?
After a few of those, you figure out that it's not really worth doing. unless you're like that first year, second year guy. Right. After that, it's you might as well wait till they're a grand.
Exactly. And that's sort of we went through a couple of those and we're just sort of like, man, like I don't understand how anyone's making money or how anyone's even like why are you buying a $25,000 male and then 2 years later it's $2,500? It's like this doesn't work.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out the timeline where it was like you buy it as a baby, it takes 12 months to get it to size. The following season, there's a gazillion of them as yours starts to breed, and you're like, I really knew that there was something up when I had a guy in the States call me and he was like, hey man, do you want a banana? And I was like, oh no, like I'm okay. And he was like, do you know anyone up there that wants a banana? I was like, well, I don't know. I think there's probably about 8 guys in Canada that I know of with bananas. And he was like, 8? He's like, bro, everybody on my street has a banana. and I was like, that's a weird comment. I didn't really sort of like, oh, okay, maybe. And then that's when I realized bananas were everywhere. Yeah. And the male thing obviously didn't help. The male banana made male bananas, and then just gazillion males.
It's definitely cool though. You got it figured out early on to buy your females, grow your females up, and then hit them with a really good male right off the bat. Like there's a lot of people that I think suffer in this. Well, especially new people getting in, they'll go to your average reptile show and just pick up random stuff and don't have a lot of thought of the 3 years following what they're doing with them. It's just a lot of there's a million morphs to pick from. It's very confusing especially for new people. And it's real cool that you were able to weed through all that early on and dial it into what you've done today.
Honestly, I think that's one of the things that I like the most about breeding ball pythons is the logistics of your collection, of having like timing I do this pairing now, I take the females out of this, there's 600 grams, I do another pairing to get a male that's ready for these girls. That logistical puzzle.
That's how my mind works 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. That's what goes on in my mind all the time.
Exactly. And that's I guess doing that was what set us apart. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what it was that set us apart other than we could have made puzzles since we picked up puzzle in 2010. So we've had it forever. We made the first ones in Canada in 2012. We picked up it was a breeding pair in 2010. Sean sold us a breeding pair of hets. Managed to get them to go their second year. They didn't go first year, second year they went. I made 1.1 puzzles. But through that 10-year stretch, we still have not bred this will be the first year actually that we breed a het puzzle male to a puzzle female. It's always been like a clown combo or a pied combo or a never goes combo. And that's the case across the board with all of our recessives. Right. I've never bred a het clown to a clown or a clown to a clown. It's always pied to clown, pied to DG to clown, just loading up on double hets.
Okay.
That's the right. I think that's the right way to do.
Yeah. Most people don't realize how useful those double hets become long term. You know, especially as you start to get into like triple recessives.
Yeah.
You know, the right animal comes available. If you have a ton of clown pieds and or double het clown pieds or clown het pieds, pied het clowns, whatever, and somebody makes a desert ghost double het clown pied,
that's it.
Having girls is like insane advantage.
Right.
Pick that male up and then right into your collection, and you're into the project in a big way fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Which is really hard to do with triples and doubles and stuff like that. So having that baseline of females is the trick.
And that's also funny. We're talking about like triple recessives at this point. That's like what everybody's going for. But I mean, you know, Dave's one, and I've won. I was making like 6 gene codoms on the regular, and that's just as hard. It's so funny, but like those would hatch all the time. But hatching triple recessives, it seems, you know what I mean? People are going through hundreds and hundreds of eggs to hit it. Just funny how
they're not easy to do. I've never made a triple recessive. The way that we're approaching triples is the slow route. I don't want to do the triple het to triple het. That's, you can hit them that way. Once you have it, now what? I want to be able to produce them consistently. So the way that we could do that is sort of, you know, a desert ghost clown to a desert ghost pied. Now you have a full clutch of desert ghost double hets, and then you take a clown pied to that, and now you have clown pied het DG, and just slowly build that a double visual het, a single visual double het, and slowly build that army up, and eventually they're all adults, and then you breed them, and you drastically reduce your odds. You go from 1 in 64 to 1 in 8. You know, that becomes the odds that I'm comfortable with. Like these 1 in 256 odds, it's like, dude, you can hit it, but even if you hit it, make another one.
Yeah, it'll never happen again. Yeah, you're good for one. You'll probably sell them after that.
Yeah.
No, you know, even like, you know, with Chad asking that question, the reality is, I mean, you're a rarity. A lot of people come in, like you said, you chase that quick dollar based on codoms. None of us ever learn our lesson. It's like bad relationships, man. Like fucking, you get into one, and you're like, man, you know what? That was a fluke. I'm just gonna go out and get in another one now. And oh shit, bamboo crashed. I thought that was the savior, and just one after another, and you know, I will say I've not always had a ball python state of mind, but I have always been obsessed with the mutation side of it, just because, you know, it's fucking awesome, man. Like, you know, it's your attention's always on something new. It's unique. There's infinite possibilities. You're the one who put the math equation up a bunch of times ago, where you made a comment about when we do 6 gene combos, there is this many possible combinations we can get. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, how many combinations can we get with, you said 6 gene combos, right?
I think it was somewhere in the 100 million range.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Completely retarded.
Now that I took into account every gene that was on Morph Market. So there's more that can be done. There's lots of other genes that are not public yet or in collection, whatever. Now 300 million of those are going to be white, but there's still a huge, like it was like 14,000 possible doubles. When you get into 6, it's like, I think you're in the billions. It just gets exponential, right?
Yeah. You know what I really loved about your answer, bud? At the beginning of your answer, it was almost like it was apologetic. Like, you're almost like, well, you know, I know it's only 100 million, but, you know, maybe, you know, there's a couple other genes out there we could add in. We could get to the 200 million range pretty quick. Like, 100 million's just, like I said, and that is the genuine reason why ball pythons are never going to not be mainstream species in this industry. Because
that's where I was going to go with that too, is that like there's always that questions. Somebody always asks it, when's this going to end? When's it's not going to be cool anymore? And when, you know what I mean, when's the last good year of doing this, especially for, you know, a business hobby or a living or whatever. If we're talking numbers like that, and it's I just don't see it ending in my lifetime. No, unless it just becomes illegal. That's the only scenario I could think of that would make it end.
Oh yeah,
it's just fun. That's the deal. Like Ryan and I were trying to refocus a one time, and it was my kind of stupid fault. And then you're like, the morphs are just so much fun. Like this one here. This is one of Will's snakes here, but it's just fun. Like there aren't very many combinations that can look like that.
No.
So the next time you put, some combination together, you can make something that nobody's ever made before. That's like the dream and the fun of it, right? That's the hope and the fun that we tell the new people. That's one of the reasons I got into it. It's a good time.
I think one of the inherent, we all love reptiles as a general rule. We all like the ball pythons, but I think one of the inherent things that we all really, really unite on is gambling. It's the gamble. It's the unknown. I can do all the work and have your husbandry dialed in, your feeding schedule dialed in, you have everything dialed in, and then you've done all the work up until those eggs, and then it's just luck. And once you have the eggs on the ground and you're incubating them, you're doing all that stuff, what comes out of that is luck.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's bad luck, sometimes it's wicked luck. That's the exciting part of what's going to hatch, which is the reason people cut eggs, is because they can't wait and they want to see.
They can't wait 2 more days.
Yeah.
Well,
I find it hilarious that people they buy a baby at 100 grams, they grow it up to 1,500 grams over 3 years. They go through an 8-month breeding process. They see the ovulation, 60-day wait. The eggs lay 55 days. They're like, I can't wait 2 days. You just waited 4 years. What the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Yeah. And, the egg cutting thing too, that's actually one thing. And, I'm going to credit a lot of that on Graziani. I've always had my friends say, oh, it's a waste of time. Don't do it. But, like you said, it's a gamble. And I want that excitement. I want that rush immediately. I don't want to wait. But, the reality is, my favorite excuse in the hobby, and I will say, I probably said it myself, is we'll say, well, what if the animal doesn't cut the egg? What if it doesn't get out? Of course I've got to cut my eggs on day 55. I'm not going to not give that snake a chance to live. It just doesn't work that way. Graziani said it, and the reality is, after God knows how many ball pythons we hashed out this year without cutting I cut a few eggs. I'll admit, I cut a few.
Everyone does.
The ones that didn't come out are the ones that were never going to come out in the first place. There was something wrong with the animal. There was kinking. There was no eyes or the cleft jaw. It's not like if you don't cut the eggs, they're never going to come out of there. It's going to happen. But you're right. You want to know, man. You really badly want to know.
Those last 2 days are like when you're at a roulette table and the ball's going around and it starts to do that bounce.
Yeah.
Those last 2 days, you're like, oh, what's it going to land on? And you lose
No, it's really the truth. And, the funny thing is, the one clutch that stand out to me this year that was probably, the most exciting thing ever, in my opinion, because I have this, that that 3 or 4 gene orange stream male I had here. I bred it to a few pies to make hets. And the first clutch that pipped, it was twins. And both their heads were perfectly sitting on top of each other. And they sat there for 3 or 4 days and no one pipped. And then everyone joined them. Now, the heads had a purplish tone to them, which I was like, man, this is really unique. These hets are going to be fucking awesome. And I backed them up with a phantom or super phantom yellow belly. So there's a part of me that think the orange stream didn't get the job done. Not only did the orange stream get the job done, he proved out hep pied, which I've showed you guys a million times because I'm just so fucking excited about that. And it made some of the coolest sandblasty peculiar pies you've ever seen in my, well, not ever. That was a reach. They were nice. I really like the way they look. But no, and I should have cut that clutch as soon as those little heads pipped out. I didn't. And on top of building on the excitement that, I had twins in the clutch, boom, I got pies in the clutch too, and some really cool looking pies. But I can't blame new people too, because, this is all one big rush. And, I'm sure we've all killed our fair share of ball pythons over the years by cutting on day 55 or day 50. And fuck, dude, I'll be honest. I remember stories back in 2007 where breeders were cutting them on day 38. The fucking pigment of the scales did not even come in yet. That ghost must have rotted.
There's still guys that do that. And the ones I find funny is when you they do it and they're like, oh, this is an orange dream Enchi clown. I'm like, bro, that's white.
Right. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Like,
You
come
know,
on.
like on top of them still.
I can't ID them out of the egg, let alone in the egg. Like, fuck.
Yeah, and you know what? How many times have we cut that egg open and got our hopes up because we thought we could ID it and we thought we hit everything, and then that fucker pops out and we were so fucking far off it wasn't even funny. Like,
All
so,
the time, bro.
That's
So here
the
we go.
thing,
I'm gonna
dude.
go
Like,
ahead and
you wait till
I'm
the
gonna
first one
patent
tips, you cut a V in there, you look in there, and dude, it's not worth it to me to do it anymore. I mean, I was really impatient for a couple of years and doing it a lot, but now, like, I can't ID what I'm hatching through a freaking little V in the egg. Like, what's the point?
Bro, and as stuff gets more and more complicated, I can't ID it after 5 sheds, let alone in the little hole in the egg. You know, like it's like I don't know what's in this thing. Like it's getting more and more complicated. And I saw that. Obviously, we saw that thing with Ozzy, and he was talking about how like having a genetics guarantee is a very hard thing to do because we're getting into some of this stuff. Like, is that OD fire or super OD? Well, man, in a pie, especially with 3 other genes on there.
That's something that's as hard as that is, and it is hard. That's the simple stage of where we're at right today.
Exactly.
The stuff that he's hatching, and you know all these guys, you and a lot of these guys are hatching stuff that, like, how do you guarantee it, man? It's the best guess. If you can agree on what it is enough to where and I think I know what it is. I mean, if it's not yellow belly or if it's not fire, if it's not a super orange dream, what do you do for that customer? What do you expect it to do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We had on one of our YouTube videos, we were like, oh man, like nobody's ever really produced this before. We don't really know what to look for. This is our best guesses. And somebody commented like, you guys are supposed to be professionals. I can't believe you can't ID snakes.
Right.
And you're like,
It was like a 5 gene to a 6 gene, and they're like, I can't believe you know the parents. You should know what the snake is. Okay, great. Thanks for watching.
yeah.
I generally, if it's a complicated combo or something I'm a little unsure of, most of the time when you're selling an animal like that, it's to a specific type of customer who's looking to buy it for breeding stock. And so
they understand the deal too.
Yeah, so generally they have an understanding of what, like I tell them, this is the pairing. This is how I have it ID'd. Do you agree with me? Start a conversation with the customer. Be like, I can't say like 100% this is it. Certain genes, I can say like that definitely has orange dream in it. No question about it. But does it have yellow belly? Don't know, man. I hope it does. I'm not going to charge you for that yellow belly price because I'm unsure on it.
Right.
Here's the deal with that too. And I Ben's collection and the stuff he does with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gene combos with pinstripe in them, which makes everything way harder to ID. Like I'll sell things, and I have sold things over the years, and I'll get a call back like a year later, and they'll be like, "Hey man, I'm looking at a lot of pictures of this, and this doesn't look like it should." And I'm like, "Well, it could be also leopard, or it could be also yellow belly, or it could be also vanilla." And the response to that one time was, "You really fucked me over on that one." And I'm all like, "I didn't charge you for it, buddy. I was perfectly honest. I told you the pairing. I was just like, this is what we know we have. Whatever else you get is a bonus." And he was angry at me. Like, generally was asking for a refund after a year of having this animal around. I didn't even know what to say to the guy. I think I was even offering to like try to make it right, even though I was just baffled. I was even having the conversation. I don't know.
I think that's just the business we're in. You're always going to have, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You make a mistake. That's one of the things that I really dislike about social media is we have like this like cancel culture. So like one person makes a mistake one time and it's like, fuck you, you're the worst person. And then it blasts it all over trying to ruin you. It's like, dude, I mis-ID'd a snake. What the fuck?
Yeah, no,
bro. Jesus.
Yeah, I had a friend recently hit me up, and he did the same thing. He's like, "Hey, man, I think I sold this animal to a guy. He's questioning what it looks, or he's questioning what he got is what he got." And I'm like, "Okay." And he shows me a picture. I was like, "Honestly, man, I do understand why you said that, but this is why I think you might be wrong. The customer might be right. You might be in a position to make it right." And he showed me what the customer said to him. And the customer said, I asked a few people. I asked a few people. That gentleman posted that animal online, said this is what it was sold to me as, and created a big discussion that turned into negativity. Why the fuck would some breeder do that to you? What the fuck is going on? Like, there's a certain way of doing things. And don't get me wrong, the problem is, and why things get to that point, is, this is, okay, we've all been fucked over in this hobby. Am I wrong or am I right? At one point in this hobby, somewhere or another, you've been fucked over. And once you've been fucked over, especially if somebody new, you assume every breeder is out to fuck you over from there on forward. So that one time, maybe a good breeder makes one mistake, that guy's going to come out and be like, you fucked me over. I'm going to go online. I'm burying your business. I once didn't get back to a person in 30 minutes about a display case order that was going to be shipping out, and they wrote me up on the BOI on fauna. The only bad report I've ever had online was not getting back to a person within an hour of a phone call. And them going on and asking the opinion of everybody on my business and the way I run things. Like, it's very... The BOI is about, you know what? This was supposed to be history. I want to talk history. You guys remember how scary the BOI was on fauna? Because even when the wrong information went up, they
said, look, man, I just saw your name on the BOI. You better check that out. You better iron that out.
There's no ironing out, though,
man. That was like the courtroom, dude.
Yeah, that shit's forever, bud. That's a tattoo. Like, if you end up in that, you could hit the guy up at fauna all day long saying it's wrong.
Nasty stain.
They don't delete shit. Like, it's out of control.
Is that still around? I haven't looked at fauna or king snake in 5 years or 10 years. I don't know.
It's still up. A while. I don't know if it's still.
Well, it's still up for sure, 100%.
I promise you, because my buddy Matt Knowles sends me a screenshot from a fauna ad all the time questioning genetics up, and I'm like, dude, anyone who's still on fucking fauna probably doesn't know what they have anyways. Don't email me anymore, man. Get your shit together.
I found like some cool snakes on king snake. It was like those are the days. Like that was like my buying heyday. That was sort of like it was like that like frenzy when you just get in and you're like, there's this whole world that you didn't even know existed.
You just scroll and scroll and scroll.
All day, middle of the night, you know, like, and this was when like there was no. I mean, I guess there was Facebook, but it wasn't what Facebook is now or Instagram. It was like log in with your little bush league breeders and reptile. We had Reptiles Canada,
which was super fun too.
Yeah, we had the BLBC and watching Brock and Matt Lear go back and forth. I'm just scrolling, reading the drama.
The big guns days.
Yeah. But they're,
Well, so Ben and Ryan, what you guys got into the hobby? What, 2010, 2012, somewhere between there?
Yep, that's about it.
Where'd you buy your first snake off of?
The show.
Show. Okay.
Nah, actually, the snakes that I bought before R&B Reptile was incorporated was from Barcheck, actually.
Real nice.
I got sucked into the snake bite days. I'm not even gonna lie, it happened.
Okay.
Too, man.
Yeah, I watched the shit out of that.
Yeah. I mean, he does put on. I mean, he's entertaining. He puts on a decent show,
And he's a good guy.
We're getting into this. That's a good show to watch.
We've been friends with him for 10 years. We like him.
No. I think Brian Potter brought it up, and we were all talking to him one time, and the reality too, like even like in the situation you guys are in, he really opened up the door for the YouTube generation of the hobby.
Big time.
It made everyone want to be that guy that you idolized. And again, we all watch snake bites. You say you didn't, you're a fucking liar. It just, it made YouTubers want to be YouTubers, and it made people make a lot of push. And the reality is, you two guys are YouTubers. You guys made a huge push, and you made that part of your brand name. And, we even brought it up too, like with Brittany Gobble, JP up in Canada. Those guys came in, and before they even produced an animal, they were more popular than me. Like they were marketing a business that wasn't even created yet, all through YouTube and social media.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. So no, like I said, this hobby, man, and it, and Chad knows it best too from all these years. Man, is it ever changing, dude? It is tough to keep up. And again, that's why William, in my opinion, is a rarity. Back then, when everyone was throwing shit at the wall and hoping it was going to stick, you were throwing the right shit at the wall all of a sudden when no one even thought about throwing that turd at the wall, buddy. Like nobody was doing double head clown stuff back then for Desert Ghost. Like nobody was
No,
stacking.
that wasn't in everybody's mind. That's a unique thought process for that time.
A very. That's your one pat on the back, by the way. You ain't getting another one after that.
Okay. Yeah, no, it was like, so I still have like a little bit of that, like, because like the guys who like sort of brought me into the hobby, like that Ralph Davis, Mark Manick, they're like that old schooler mentality. I still had that like, no, I haven't done anything, stay quiet. I didn't have that like, I'm buying snakes and it's like, look at me, and I'm building a business that's not even there. Like I had and Dad's the same way. It was like, who the fuck am I to tell you how to breed snake? I don't even know what we're doing. We're just collecting snakes, and we're trying to do it, and we figured it out. But until like 2016, 2017, I kind of just kept my mouth shut because it was just like, we're just growing up double hats. I haven't done anything notable. They're like, oh, cool, you made a pastel NG clown. So did everybody else. Like, what differentiates you, you know? So we had that like, just stay quiet. And then stuff started to happen, and really Instagram, I started posting on Instagram and started a YouTube channel, and I hated YouTube at the start, but things have grown. But like you said, there's guys that have come in and they're like 8 months in the hobby and they have 10,000 subscribers and this huge following, and they haven't done anything. And I like it and dislike it at the same time. There's like this line that I like teeter on, you know?
Yeah, I get jealous too, buddy. Don't you worry.
It's not necessarily a jealousy thing. It's just it's a I don't care about the spotlight that they have. That's not really not it. It's the giving advice on a species that you've kept for 8 months. You don't even know what you're doing. You haven't grown a full to an adult specimen or had any reproduction. Really, the thing that I have a hard time with is when someone goes on Wikipedia, reads Wikipedia, and then just spews it back online. This is follow me, and that's kind of the world we live in now. So
yeah,
that's what people do. That's not even a reptile thing. That's like
right.
Now everybody's an expert on viruses and vaccines, and you know what I mean. Here we are.
Yeah,
like we're worried, you know.
Yeah. And I made this joke before, and like you said, we're an expert on certain things. And I hate to say it, even our thoughts in this hobby are trendy. Like this is a really kind of mean thing to say, but the word allelic had never really been used in the ball python community. It was used in many other species, boa constrictors, and that's the main reason I know about it. But it wasn't used. And then we inserted allelic into our vocabulary. And how many fucking allelic projects do we have out there now? Like, it is one after another after another. Like, we're just, that's fine and all. We're learning as we go here.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And, man, it blows my mind how much there's still to learn. Like,
absolutely.
Like, realistically, I mean, maybe somebody knew before Justin did, but to find out chocolate and spot nose are allelic in 2020?
Yeah, what the hell? I still am like, how?
How is it
like pastel and inchy? Like none of that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
So, not only that, like, what I'm doing right now is against what we said we were going to do, but you know what? It's been so many years. It's about fucking time that we just start talking about it. The Campfire Project. The biggest cliffhanger, getting people excited to this day. 3 gene combo on ball pythons. Cinnamon, Inchy, and Calico. Merry fucking Christmas. Like,
hey,
why the fuck wasn't that done 15 years ago? Why wasn't that done 20 years ago? The reality is, what could have been made in 2010? The Pompeii. We could have been Pompeii 10 years ago, guys. Like, this is 100 million different combinations, and we don't know what's going to look like what. And, another, like, fun thing, we're all over the place. I don't want to completely change subjects. If I even say it's going to change subjects, we're going to come back to this. You guys talk for a second. I'm going to drink some Four Loko because things are happening. You know what we should make for this industry right now? I got 2 suggested products, and I think Herp House Rock is going to be on the cutting edge. I think we need a Repapedia. I want a Wikipedia knockoff where we can all go on there and change the information of every way a mutation works and everything like that, and we'll just keep throwing shit at it, and whatever everyone reads, we're just gonna believe it.
Can you imagine if everybody could change a reptile and information thing like World of Ball Pythons, and everybody can literally go in and put their input in there? That would be horrible.
Yeah, Chad's gonna go on there and put, I just unlocked the perfect shrapnel gene. All it took was this, that, and that. And my reply would be, well, maybe, oh shit, we can't make, I'll be like, well, maybe if I fucked your sister, you would have made it sooner. And everyone would be like, oh man, if they've only fucked Chad's sister, like, it's just, it'd be great. I'd be really into that. Like, I think we should probably do that. And I've got one more product line, and I'm going to patent this one. A WWGD bracelet. It's going to be like a rubber band. It's going to be like, what would Graziani do? When you go to the incubator, you think about cutting your eggs, just start snapping that thing for a little bit. Get those veins.
What would Graziani do?
Yeah, eventually you're just not going to want to do it anymore. You just got to train yourself. And it's not easy because I'm excited too about seeing what's in there. But I'll tell you one thing, I've lost animals over the years. And the reality is when you cut early, you are possibly ending the life of an animal if it decides to come out early. Like there's certain mutations.
Some of them get stressed out and they'll rush out and they leave their umbilical, they leave their yolk in there. They, the umbilical ruptures. I mean, that happens because you cut them.
Yeah. No,
they don't do that when they pip their cells.
I actually did think of a product that we might all actually really use, and that's 16-ounce and 8-ounce stainless steel cups to go into your ARS or Freedom Breeder racks.
That'd be dope. Yeah.
The reason that I thought of it is because I was like doing a water change and I had two garbage bags full of plastic cups, and I was like, this is awful. Like I'm going through hundreds of these a month. Like this is awful
to throw them away. It does suck.
And there's just so much plastic. And realistically, stainless steel cups, it's going to cost you, a certain amount up front to get them, but they're dishwasher safe. You run them through a dishwasher. And what I would do is have 2 full sets.
That's what I do really with even with my plastic cups, man. I'll take them out. I don't have a huge collection, so it doesn't stress me out to do. And then put all fresh stuff in, fill it with water, and then I'll just disinfect those cups, and then I'll start over. That's what I do.
How long do you go?
If they're really gross, I throw them away. But if they're just clean water in there and I'm changing them out, I don't throw them away every time.
Yeah. I just thought
Ben, get our guy in China on this. Let's go. Put it on the website.
I could definitely get that.
Yeah, you got this, man. We're it's about to start. We're gonna, now that we have a guy like William on who's actually popular and someone might actually listen to this podcast, we're gonna go ahead and start branding things, discussing future ideas, product lines. I think this is the push we were looking for. And Chad, I think the world of you. You're a big part of this too, buddy. You're helping take this.
Can we just have it on the record how much Dave fought to have a popular ball python guy on this thing for the last year? He said, no way in hell. I want to talk about something else. And all of a sudden, Mr. Joey Mustache over there knows how to blink. Well, all it took was a can of Four Loko and he can blink.
Well, that is true also.
He didn't really want he didn't want to talk ball pythons on this show. He was not really about it.
Not at all.
No, it wasn't that I didn't want to talk ball pythons, because the reality is we had a Graziani on.
True.
Our first episode was Bob
He's a big alligator guy, though. He's not. I mean, he's a ball python guy.
You're right. There was some parts of that, but a big part of that episode was ball pythons. Here's the thing, and we've talked about it a million times, is the reality is I just didn't see this product going that way, because you can open up Facebook and watch 40 of those. There's nothing wrong with talking about ball pythons. We love ball pythons. I pump ball pythons up all the time. I just wanted to try something a little different. And the reality is with this conversation today, this is a ball python conversation, but I love these conversations. I love everything about the direction of these conversations. This is not I'm sure it's a typical ball python conversation. It's just a little different in my opinion. This is piquing my interest. And we haven't even got started yet. Like we're just scratching the surface. This is practically the intro. About an hour from now, Ryan's going to be like, tapping his wrist like, come on, motherfuckers, this thing's over. But it might not be. We haven't had a podcast since like week 3. This thing could be here for a little while. I know, Chad, you got a job, and William's probably, are you even at home, bud? Is that a chalkboard behind you? Where are you, bud?
No, I'm at the office.
Okay.
It's good. We're good.
That's cool.
But as far as not having ball python guys, you're the perfect guy to bring ball python guys on, because
For sure.
no offense to any other channel, there's not that wealth of knowledge and experience behind that any other channel. You have the discussion and the knowledge to say, like, do you remember in 2008 when Greg produced this? Like, that holds weight.
You know, and again, I appreciate the pat on the back. That's my one compliment, guys. If anybody fucking says anything nice at this, I'll be real angry.
Go to hell, Dave.
Nice.
Yeah, I just want to hear about how ugly I am and how I don't blink, and that's it for the rest of the day. Like, and I'll be happy if that's the case.
It doesn't matter how ugly you are. If you dress like that and you have a mustache like that, that's all you need. Just decorate.
Yeah.
You're good.
You will do well in prison for sure.
Yeah, this is the Christmas special, and we're gonna get a little weird. And I'm like 7 sips into this Four Loko, and I think I'm feeling it. You know, I agree with what you said, because one of my great friends, and Chad's good friends with him, Mac Robinette, said it best. Yep. Dave,
you've talked about him a couple times on this podcast.
I bring him up. You know, I talked to him a good bit.
Yeah.
But this is way back in the day, probably like, 2008, 2012, somewhere between there. And we all used to go to the bar after every show. It was just what we did back then in Southeast. It was a great time. And he came up to me and he's like, you know what, Dave? You could walk into a bar with a 12-inch purple dildo sticking out of your ass, and you could still find a way to get people's attention and maybe even get laid. And you know what? I have lived by that moment for all my life.
Correct.
Like, that is it. And I'm okay with that. We all got to have our grinds. Mine's deception, and I'm into it. But so this is going to be an all-around bounce-around podcast, like I said, and we're going to take 3 steps back now, because I don't even know what fuck we were talking about. Because I talked about, I feel like, wait, did Ben raise his hand?
Yeah, I'll jump into a couple things.
Okay.
Don't make fun, Chad. Grief.
Yeah,
I like it, man. That's
I
your thing.
raise my hand.
It's
That's
a
your
system.
thing.
Yeah, Spotify does not get the full experience that YouTube does when Ben raises his hand, all nonchalantly and scared, until somebody notices it.
It actually sucks that most people now.
Hey, Ben raised his hand. What the fuck you doing? You not understand the system? Ben, go ahead.
Politely waiting for everybody to stop talking.
Yeah, did you not see his hand in the air? Don't make your hand out of turn. Yeah.
You can make your
Go
point.
ahead,
I was just thinking that, like some of the stuff that you work with, if we're going to get back to a few genes, I want to hear more about.
Son of a bitch.
What?
No, you're right. I'm not saying. You're good. You're good. I disrespect the hand.
I'll put the two things I want to talk about. I'll put it out there so you guys we can do it whatever you want. I want to talk about the Krypton, that whole deal, and then also the Wookiee. So,
Right on.
We can get into any of that.
Wait a minute. Hold on. My hand's up.
All right, go ahead, Ryan. I hope this works into what Ben just said.
Go to hell, Dave. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, I respect that. I respect the dynamics.
I heard you yelling at me when I went. I had to get some more water, man. I'm getting into the conversation, but I ran out of juice. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, I don't know.
Not enough people right now know what a Graziani pastel is.
Oh, you know what's beautiful about what you just said, William, and the fact that you don't listen to our podcast? Do you want to hear the most interesting pairing in ball pythons this past year? Graziani took the very first imported pastel male that he still has to this day and bred it to a female that's 27 years old. What was it? What was her name? Togo or?
Yeah, something like that. It was a normal.
Let's start a normal female.
The first pastels that he's ever made. That same pairing.
So the original pairing that ever made a pastel that was sent to market did it again this past year. And I'm sorry, I would probably pay a few $100s for that animal, even if it was just a male pastel, because there's a nostalgia and there's just something very unique about that. Like, that excites me.
That's great.
We're actually on the list for it. We're on the list for an F1 pastel from Graziani, thanks to Ben.
I like it.
He didn't get back to me, though.
Very, very cool. I that's something I would take too. preferably a female. But yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's cool, Mr. Triple Head over there. I get it. It's fine. You get a female.
I mean, I like it when people are like now they're like, no, I'm keeping my line pure. It's like, no, bro, you breed ball pythons. Just mix it. Like just smash it up. Mix it with whatever you want. Come on. There's no pure ball pythons.
No, and you know, too, like talking about this, like you know, the Kevin McCurley lemons. Do you know why he calls them lemons?
They
were more yellow.
Yeah, no. Well, that was part, but no, Graziani and Nerd both had a pastel, and they decided for marketing purposes, Nerd was going to go with the lemon lime, and Graziani was just going to go with Graziani pastels. It wasn't because one was a little more yellow or anything like that. It was all about early day marketing on something that had never really been created too much at that point.
There you go.
You don't hear in other podcasts.
Yeah, I really hope that's what Graziani said when he was on here, because I never watched these things afterwards. I really hope I didn't just make a mistake, and if I did, I'm sure I'm going to hear about it.
No, that was right.
Don't worry, Greg doesn't watch these.
Greg
doesn't watch these.
Yeah, Kevin will. Right.
Yeah. Kevin's on here all day.
Yeah, we'll have Kevin on at some point. I love hearing Kevin talk. When I got to go to Nerd, like he just knows a little bit about everything, and he's very passionate about it. And I can always appreciate that about a reptile guy.
That is very true.
Okay, guys. So we're gonna go with the Ben, and we're gonna talk Crypto Krypton for a second. Now, before we even get in this conversation, you know, Chad gets on me every once in a while because I have a negative point of view on it. And you know, luckily, no one listens to this, and my point of view doesn't mean shit. So we're gonna be okay with whatever we say right now. But why don't William, who in my opinion has the most experience with the cryptic stuff and Krypton stuff, probably in this entire group right now, let's talk about that project and what you think that can do moving forward with being, in sense, an allelic trait in a recessive project.
I think it's got a ton of potential. Now, one of the things with cryptic and Krypton is, maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but you can't fucking tell them apart. I don't think you can tell a cryptic from a Krypton. I think they're the exact fucking same. Like you're never going to be able to tell them apart. So for the purity guys, they're like, I want to know that this is cryptic. Cool. But every Krypton combo is going to look the exact same and have the bonus of being het clown.
Right. I like that fact. I like the fact that you can
shit.
pick and choose what you want to make. Like you can breed a cryptic to it, or you can breed a clown. Breeding a clown to a cryptic animal is cool because you get all the clowns and all the cryptic combos at the same. It's a win-win.
Right, and that's the way I've been using them. Sorry, go ahead, man.
I just want to stir the pot a little bit here because in this sense it's great, but why is it that's great, but the fact that Candy and Albino is like pretty much tanked the project? Is it just because clowns attached to it?
I think the fact that like clown is still super popular and cryptic is also even, you know, it's newer and it's still very popular. Albino's not popular anymore. Candy is, but albino's not. Nobody really wants to make, nobody that wants to make money wants to make albino stuff, really. You know what I mean? It's like almost byproduct now. So Candino, you can tell them apart. But I think like, that's the big thing. You don't want something that's going to be either het candy or het albino, not know it.
I feel like I could sell an albino all day long to the pet market for like $300, like just boom. Like I don't even have to try to advertise that, and it's sold.
Yeah,
but
and
I'm
just saying.
Well, and you know the comment about albinos being what it is, you can't say that because look what Lavender Albino's still doing to this day, and you know that I still do appreciate what Lavender does, but I just think that Candy potentially could have, you know, that's the biggest problem too. We've talked about this, man. I don't even think we can compare a Candy to a Lavender. It's two completely different products.
Yeah, they're just different.
Yeah, I mean it's different outcomes, different adults. You know, some people like one, some people like the other. I think we really need to stop getting hung up on that. It's completely two different genes. You know, I understand it's an albino in a sense, but you know, even talking to Junior at JMG, we talked about this. Like, if you look at the eye color on a Candy, he argues that there could be more of a T positive albino influence in that animal, and that's what's making it look the way it does as an adult. Now, luckily for all of us, we're all used car salesmen, and we don't know shit about genetics, so I can't really back up what he said. But you know, like I said, and I'm sorry, this is a weird rant. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. I don't think I'm gonna drink Four Loko on the show anymore. Yeah, I completely lost all train of thought.
You
But
just
I
gonna
want to talk
drink
about
Four
cryptic
Loko on a
cryptid.
regular,
Right.
not on the show.
So yeah. I mean, I might do this again. I'm liking the way my body feels right now, so I'm not gonna deny this feeling. I just might know where and when not to. Okay, so your argument with cryptic and krypton. So you're purist, you're saying, and again, this is what came down to the candy conversation.
I'm not a purist.
No, and that's cool. We really don't even have the option to be purists at this point because with this whole make heck clown everything, a lot of people make kryptons this past year on accident.
That's how we did.
And we're going to see that more in the future because even us this year, we're taking a lot of animals and running clowns from them just to do it to make some hets. And we might hit some kryptons. We've already hit cryptics in our collection on accident. Shit. Ben had cryptics in his collection in 2017 that he produced in 2014, no, 2012, that were labeled Joppa because it just happened to pop out of his Joppa project and he thought it was a high expression Joppa. So, like I said, the cryptic stuff and even the bells, man, like, God, how long do you think the bells been making cryptics and didn't even realize what they were really making?
Probably
I
for a
know
long
for
time.
they've been advertising Desert Ghost. It was just like they were calling it. All our stuff came from Bellline Desert Ghost, and it was het cryptic. We didn't know until we put clown to it. But I've seen animals that the bells have been excuse me, that the bells have been offering for sale 4, 5, 6 years ago that were cryptics, and I think they were just like Desert Ghost. It looks funky. And
I mean,
it's subtle enough to be confused. Like I wouldn't have picked that out either. Like I've had it in my collection for 3, 4 years, and I didn't know it. I knew they were weird animals, and that's why I held them, but I didn't know they were cryptic. And I didn't even know about cryptic until I was really looking at the Bell's table in 2019. Not this Daytona, but last Daytona. That's the first time I've even seen cryptic. As late and labeled as that. It was new to me. I don't know how long it's even been marketed. Probably not too long.
Yep. And to go back to your point about why Candy and Toffee and Albino dropped the project versus Clown and Cryptic, I think is going to be an increase in the project. Is Candy a Candino or a Toffino versus Toffee are very, very. It's not a different look, whereas the Cryptic or a Krypton and a Clown are two very, very different looks. And if you look historically throughout the ball python market, pattern genes are winners. It's just the way it goes. Clown, puzzle, G-stripe, pie, like all that sort of stuff they do very well because you're able to. If we just had colors, all we could do is manipulate colors, and it would be a static looking ball python, not static like a gene, just like this is the base of what a ball python looks like. We can change the color. As soon as you can start to change the pattern, that's when you have the win.
And that makes a lot of sense because even thinking about that project, like a Candino is a watered down candy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe it's a little bit better albino, but it's a watered down candy. So
sure. And I just think the cryptic stuff, I've been using it like a cheat code because I have a Desert Ghost. I have a Desert Ghost Krypton male. So he's a Desert Ghost het clown, but because he's a Krypton, I can take him and breed him into het clowns. Normally, what I'd be looking at is like, these are het Desert Ghost 66% het clowns. But because he's always throwing a het clown or a het cryptic gene, and the female is always throwing a het clown or a normal gene, basically using a Krypton male is like using a clown male. All of a sudden, 50% of your clutch instead of 25% becomes identifiable. And I can start to pick out like, oh, no, that's a leopard spot nose Enchi Krypton, 100% het Desert Ghost. I know that that's a leopard Enchi spot nose double het DG clown. Right? You can use it as like this one I know is going to prove out. There's no question. It's going to prove.
So I get the benefit because this industry is a clown mindset industry right now when it comes to combinations. But similar to like people who want to work at the candy and they emphasize on a pure candy, do you think we're going to muddy the waters too much early on with all this krypton stuff to where we won't be able to actually separate that gene and fully know that what we're working on is a straight cryptic to then just do unique cryptic combos for the future?
Well, it becomes very easy as long as you use a visual clown, which there's no shortage of those. So if you're breeding a clown male to a het cryptic / het clown where you don't know which het it is, you prove that out right away. You make clowns, that thing's not cryptic. You make cryptic, It's not clown. And then okay, I made kryptons in this clutch. That is a 100% het cryptic. And you can isolate the gene that way.
Well, how about this? Because again, everything comes in trends in the industry. Let's say in 5 years, people want to really focus on cryptic, and there is a group in the hobby that really want that to be their emphasis. But they don't want to buy a cryptic or, again, a krypton. They don't want there to even be a hint of clown anywhere in there. They just want that gene by itself. That's okay. Like you said, it is very, very, very difficult to tell a krypton from a cryptic. They are very, very similar. Do you think that there will be the point in 5 years where you'll have people advertising the cryptic project, specifying in the description, there is no fucking way this thing has anything to do with the clown project. It's never going to happen.
I think so.
Okay. Sure. So would you go through the trouble? I mean, or do you think this is going to be just stuck there forever?
I personally am not going to separate. I'm not going to worry about separating them, because at the end of the day, when you use a krypton, it's an awesome platform to use, because let's say you're trying to make krypton pied. You want to do cryptic pies. Well, a krypton pied can make you cryptic pies and clown pies. It's like a Swiss Army knife as far as breeding potential goes. The only downfall I can see is breeding a krypton male to, let's say I take a Desert Ghost Krypton and I breed it to an Enchi. That clutch is Enchi Desert Ghost, and it's het clown or het cryptic. I don't know which one. That's the downfall. Now, the nice thing about it is that it's guaranteed to be one of the two, but you don't know if it's het clown or het cryptic. But as long as you're clown focused, it doesn't matter. In my eyes, I'm cool keeping. So we made an Orange Dream Cypress, and it's het Desert Ghost, and it's either het clown or het cryptic. To be totally honest with you, I don't give a shit what it proves for. Preferably clown, but I mean, damn, I'd love to see a Cypress OD Desert Ghost Krypton. That's a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a problem at all to me.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it, and I use it as an identifier for het clown stuff, really.
Well, and I won't disagree with that. And again, I'm trying to be the
that guy's sweet.
Yeah, I'm poking the bear. I'm going negative on this. I want I want reasoning behind it. I'm not trying to shit on the project. And again, do they need to be separated? I don't even necessarily know if they need to be separated, because I do think there's something to it and it's unique, and that's really all that matters. And like you said, pattern means more than color typically in this industry. Add color to your pattern later. But, like you're saying, though, like this happened in BOAs in the mid-2000s, late 2000s with, and I know we don't have many BOA guys in the room, the Paradigm Project. Somebody took a T-negative albino, and they bred it to a T-positive kind of animal called the Boa woman caramel, and they made a recessive by breeding those two visual recessives together. So you're talking a T-negative to a T-positive to make a visual. Now, like you said, the waters got muddy because at one point it was very common in the boa community to see an animal advertised as a het or a parahet. Parahet was the phrase we all used because we didn't know if it was het or one or the other, so you called it a parahet. You might end up with paradise, might this. And another cool thing about the way this worked with the boa gene, you could take two paradigm boas, breed them together. Every time a 30-year litter would come out T-negative albino, a 30-year litter would come out Boa woman caramel, which in a sense is a T-positive, and a 30-year litter would come out paradigm every single time. Weirdest genetic thing, just because we're talking T-negative, T-positive albino. So that's like my concern about cryptic. But you know, me looking at cryptic is the people who just want to work with cryptic and don't want clown involved. But your
Well,
argument,
you can
on
do
how
that.
effective it's
Like,
everybody.
you can get cryptic animals or you can get, you know, like I just bought a pastel desert ghost het cryptic male. I'm not going to necessarily, I might breed it to clown stuff, but I'm going to breed that into the stuff that I know that's cryptic in my collection that doesn't have clown in it. I'm probably going to do that, and a lot of people probably will. That's your choice, but I don't think Krypton and pure cryptic and Krypton, I mean, genetically, obviously they're different, but like I don't devalue the Krypton because it's het clown. I see it as an advantage, just like Will said. I mean, I think it's a cool thing.
I mean, here's the thing. William's the first person to say something to me that I actually agree with him. You know, I've talked to Chad about it. I've talked to a lot of people about this, and typically I go out of the conversation with the same mindset going in. But you know, I do agree with what you're saying. I mean, it's a very, it's a strong animal to have in your collection because you can do a little something extra with it. And you know, with the animal they brought for, it was beautiful animals. So I'm not going to hate on it even the slightest bit.
I think
so
what your concern is
respect that.
financially at getting, you know, like you're talking like Candy was such a strong investment, and then the albino weakened it. The fact that it was compatible with albino weakened it. I think that's what you're concerned with
Yes.
with the cryptic being devalued because of clown. But I mean, it's just yet to be determined, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, I mean, the reality is cryptic is a gene that's been around, but we've only just started talking about and dabbling in. I mean, what is the value? Like, I mean, how often do you see somebody just selling a straight cryptic animal at this point? Like, it's not like there is, it's not like that market's due to crash. I don't even know what that market is yet.
Yeah, I mean, they're making they're making pure cryptic stuff. I mean, it's freaking, dude, in genetic stripe and super stripe, that stuff is so hot. In Desert Ghost, all that stuff is really cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean,
Imagine you made those, but they're also het clown.
Right.
Pretty damn useful.
None of that is bad.
Right? That's a useful animal. Damn.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
The way I looked at it is I'll make these, they're het cryptic, het clown. All of them are going to, for me at least, they're all going to be het DG. So everything's regardless baseline het desert ghost. And I'll take when I go to prove those out, I'll take a desert ghost clown and run it to them. If I make Kryptons, I know moving forward, that's pure cryptic in that female.
Right.
And then from there, I can call anybody up and get a cryptic male and then run to that girl. And now I know I'm pure cryptic moving forward. But the way I sort of looked at it was not like, okay, I want to focus right now on making pure cryptics. No, my focus was making Desert Ghost clown combos. And that's sort of what I really wanted to do. Having the cryptic in there is a nice bonus. And what it allows me to do is like, oh, I didn't prove het clown. It proved het cryptic. Sweet. Now I can pivot in that project and go a different direction with it relatively quickly because I know she's het cryptic and I just pick up a pure cryptic male and poof, away you go. But if it proves het clown, you're into Desert Ghost clowns. If it proves het cryptic, you're into, you know, let's say it's a Cypress. You make a Cypress Krypton Desert Ghost. That's a Cypress Desert Ghost het clown. That's a serious animal.
Not a bad problem.
No, that's the way I looked at it. And as you go down the line, you'll know, especially if you use a visual clown, this is cryptic, this is clown, and you'll be able to separate them fairly quickly.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, honestly, and again, that does work because again, this market is a clown ball python market. Like it's where we're at right now. We're really hard on it. It's everyone's goal at the end of the day. So I agree. In this market today, that is where it needs to be. But you know, I do think, in my opinion, you know, just like how Candy is kind of starting to surge back a little bit right now, I think in like 5 or 6 years or 7 years, I think there's going to be that market that needs that new flavor, and they're going to go back and take that cryptic gene that was flavor of the month in 2019, and they're going to start just going after that, and you're going to hear the purity talk. I'm going to go ahead and make a bet right now that by what year is it? 2025 or 2026, there will be discussions about pure cryptic stuff and where do I find it? Like, because I do think, don't ever believe Dave. He's got a button on his computer. He holds Shift A down and it's don't believe Dave. Like that's just part of this because I do lie a lot.
But here's the thing, Dave, is the people with Kryptons now are in a great position in 2025 because by then they've proved out their holdbacks, whether it's clown or cryptic, and you've proven that out. So when all of a sudden the cryptic wave comes, the guys who had the Krypton stuff are now able to pivot either way. Whereas if you were just clown, it's very hard to pivot into cryptic, into a full new recessive. You know, that way, like in 5 years from now, I'm going to be sitting there going like, okay, I know that these 7 females are all 100% pure cryptic, 100% heads. I just need a male. And now, poof, you're rolling.
No,
and then I can advertise those confidently and with 100% certainty. These are pure cryptics.
Okay. So this might sound silly, and Ben, I know you had a second part to that, and I really want to come back to it. I promise you we're going to talk about that gene, but okay. So yeah, again, if you're not watching the YouTube version, you don't get the full experience. So now I want to talk a little bit about the marketing aspect of this hobby. Something that that's been more developed now than it ever has before, in my opinion. Okay, because I know I'm going to make a mistake on how to pronounce his name. This is a Chad question.
Okay.
The gentleman who helped out Nerd with their videos back when they're showing magpies and all the hidden gene woman combos.
Rafael Martinez.
Yeah.
Okay. Now here's something that I was actually talking to my buddy Ryan about, and I talked to Rafi about a couple years ago. When I started working at Ben's Collection, I hit up Rafi one day, and this was, you guys might remember, he jumped in with Nerd and he helped with their videos.
Yeah.
Yep.
And those videos blew the fuck up. Those videos got tons of views, and we loved them. And and not only just because the animals were looking amazing, but we were fucking hooked. And then stage 2. What happens a few years later after he starts doing Justin videos? He helps Justin. They work together for a little while, and Justin's videos blew the fuck up. Now, there was a lot to do with that because, again, just like with the Nerd videos, there was a higher quality of animal being produced at that point and being showed off in these videos that we had never seen before. And now, again, he moves on to Justin. And they work together, and they do a little bit of video work together, and Justin blows up. Now, I'm not saying that Rafi put Justin on the map. Justin put himself on the map. Justin is a great marketer. And the reason I kind of went into this tangent, and last thing I'm going to say about that before we start talking about marketing, is I hit up Rafi one day, and I'm like, Rafi, I really need to know how you do this. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, how are you making breeders so fucking popular with these YouTube videos? Because you're not the first guy to be a part of a YouTube video. Ralph Davis had videos. A lot of other people have showed videos of some of the most unique animals in the hobby you've ever seen, but didn't even come close to the popularity of the Kevin and the Justin videos. And he said, and honestly, it's really true, nobody goes on YouTube to watch somebody talk about their own animals. It's a very impersonal feeling when somebody is cutting a clutch or showing a clutch off and describing it to somebody who's not even there. But to add a third party, somebody who might not be totally experienced in a hobby or might not understand what they're looking at product-wise, when you explain it and you get those reactions, that's the reaction that's happening on the other side of the camera. That's the reaction that you're getting from your YouTubers. And it completely, in my opinion, is right. Like, the truth is, it wasn't a coincidence that he went from one guy to the other guy to do videos and they blew up. He went in with the same idea that he had with the Kevin videos, but went with somebody new with, again, a very unique animal and gave it an experience that really kind of connected the viewer. And going into that, like, the marketing aspect of this, like, you know, we're talking about Cryptic and Krypton right now. We're talking about maybe Cryptic will be popular in 7 years. The reality is, if you want Cryptic to be relevant tomorrow, you can market it in a way to appeal to the buyer that they will be interested if you find a way to connect with your buyer. It's not deception. It's not cheating. It's marketing. And again, not all of us put the effort in, and a lot of companies are lopsided. They're producing some of the most beautiful animals you've ever seen, but they're not teasing us. They're not showing the pictures still to this fucking day, I don't know what a flatline is. Anybody know what a flatline is? What
No.
is it? William, did you say yes or no?
I do.
Yeah.
So I have its sister.
Okay.
It's a pastel clown.
What?
Okay. You want to elaborate on that?
So I haven't released anything yet, but when Ralph hatched it, there was Enchi in the pairing. It may be an Enchi, pastel Enchi clown, but it's a line of pastel that creates really, really reduced animals. I think Ralph told me straight from the horse's mouth, it's a pastel clown. And I was like, dude, back then I was like, okay. Now I'm like, no, dude, it's not a pastel clown. And I bred its sister, who came up as a pastel Enchi, 66% head clown. I bred its sister to a clown, did not prove, but the fucking babies are like electric yellow, like the flatline was. And the
Do you
one
think
baby,
it's a gene similar to Blade, another reduction, brightening gene, something like that?
I think so. So I have a pastel Enchi yellow belly. I have the marked flatline het clown male, and I've got a pastel yellow belly leopard flatline het clown female. The girl took the year off. Look at that fucking thing.
Yeah. Can you zoom in on that? Because you know what? If you're in this industry, you've never seen that animal. You want to talk about the most appealing clown in its era, like.
Okay.
That broke the internet that
started
year.
stacking. Like that thing was incredible.
So here's something I want to point out on this animal. See the diamonds down the back?
Yeah.
Okay. Those diamonds. Now, Ben, I don't know if you're able to find it. Watch those diamonds on that snake. And then I'll show you the baby that I produced. You might be able to pull it up, Ben, but it's from its sister. Oh man, you're gonna have to scroll way back in Instagram here. I'm gonna try and find it because it was something that somebody else pointed out to me that I didn't even catch, and I was like, oh, they make a really good point here. Let me see if I can find it. Oh man, we gotta go way in the.
So while William's looking, I want to go around the table right now, and I want to hear it in the comments also. Anybody who saw that picture back in the day, I want to hear what your guess was back then. Me personally, I was thinking is Tangerine Gene. I thought it was a Super Blade Inchy Tangerine Pastel Clown. And that's where I went on based on what he was working on. Chad, when you saw the animal, what did you think it was back in the day?
I thought it was like, I mean, it was early, dude. There wasn't even a lot of Inchy clown. I don't even know if there was Inchy clown stuff. That wasn't common then. So, but I mean, I thought it was like Pastel Inchy, Blade, Super Blade, something like that. But those don't have, you know, he just showed that picture again. I haven't seen it in a long time. It does have a diamond type dorsal pattern down that stripe does. And if it was a Super Blade or an Inchy, there would be a broken stripe or a clean black stripe all the way down. It wouldn't be jagged like that.
No, I get that. Well, you know, spider was an argument back then, but the head stamp didn't look spider. Ryan and Ben, I mean, I don't care who says it first. I know you guys remember that animal because you guys came in the hobby right around then. I'm sure you blew your mind. So where did you guys think about it back then? What you thought it might have been?
My personal thing was the Tangerine Blade Spider. Maybe there was some talk about maybe he had his own line of pastel or something to amp up the color, but I mean, I thought Spider had to be in it and Blade to have that dorsal stripe like that.
Okay, so I found the post. I don't know if it's easy for you to find. I posted it February 26, 2019. I can show it just here.
Okay.
Hold on. Hey, how about this, William? Do me a favor. Why don't you message that over to me if you can, a screenshot? I'll send it to Benny. He'll get it up on the big screen.
Sure.
Well, I can focus in on him.
Okay, let's try this out. Does this work?
Yeah, just put it back up. We got you on the focus.
Yeah. All right.
That's a baby from the flatline sister.
Oh, yeah.
Diamonds on the back.
Wow. And there's wow. Huh.
And it's like, bro, it's an adult now. And it's like yellow, like really, really yellow. And it may be coincidence. That's obviously has leopard in it. But I showed them the flatline and then showed them this, and they were like, dude, remove the side pattern and you have it. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, look at all the diamonds down the back. And I was like, shit, you're right. Is it genetic? No fucking clue. But I'm going to try and figure it out.
All right. Well, William, do me a favor, and everyone who's listening right now. This podcast is probably going to come out on Christmas or Christmas Eve. We're going to discuss that when we get done. William, I would love on that day that before we even put this out, I want you to post a picture of that adult female now because I just want to see it. Like, I want people to go and check it out. Like, I think that thing's going to be awesome. I generally want to look at it some more.
Okay.
But no, well, I mean, you guys want to talk about a little marketing? You want to jump around a little bit? I don't know why. I thought that conversation had some legs, and we kind of fizzled just a touch.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, you cracked the code.
Yeah.
Got the answer right here.
I feel like I suck at marketing. I don't. I just made a logo and fucking posted snakes.
Can I give you a little suggestion?
Yeah.
Maybe, just maybe, put your logo a little bigger on your hat next time, buddy.
Well, that's it, right? That's what I tried to go big, but it didn't turn out that big.
Nah, I mean, you got to do a full wrap. I mean, you know what? I don't want to give away all my trade secrets, but I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to sit back and take a sip.
What is it? You want to talk about marketing, and that's a big topic because I would think most people get into this because they love the animals, and they're not tech people. I'm not a tech guy. Like Ben's a tech guy, but not all of us are. Like I like to take care of animals and hatch animals, but that's where I fall short big time. I have a decent social media, and I try to stay pretty active on that, but that's where it stops.
Yeah.
Morph Market's great that's out now. That gets your product out there for a lot of people to see, but I mean, these people and I used to hate it, when I'd go to Tinley or I'd go to Daytona and the YouTubers were walking around and, they have an entourage and a camera and lights. I'm like, what the fuck are they doing, man? It's like so annoying. But looking back, like that's one of the smartest things, It's so smart.
No, and you know what? Here is, in my opinion, my best advice I can give you. Don't go on and copy someone's technique. You're not going to be the next Brian Barczyk because that just doesn't work. You're not going to go on and do videos like a Justin. Now, when it comes to the content you put on and everything like that, if it doesn't relate to your personality, it's probably going to look real fucking fake. Like, you have to kind of go with, you got to go with what you know. You got to embrace who you are. And you know what? It works. Here's the thing. I'm a weirdo. So you know what I do? I embrace it.
You go extra weird.
Yeah. The hobby embraced it. So you know what I did back? I got weirder. Like, it just, my guard came down. Like, now I can't help myself. Like, there's no secrets over here anymore. This is
now you're in the middle of Missouri, just being weird out in the country.
Yeah. I really hope nobody in the state of Missouri ever sees my profile or what I do in this community because I just don't think I'll be able to go to my gas stations anymore. Like,
you go to the gas station in the middle of Missouri dressed like that.
Yeah. Well, only on the way to the podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen,
I gotta make a pit stop.
I had a real honest conversation with Dave one night. We were drinking, we were hanging out around the campfire. And I said, Dave, what's your secret? And he said, man, there comes a time in your life where you're at an orgy and a guy sticks his thumb in your ass and you either gotta decide, are you gonna pull away or are you gonna lean into it? And that's what makes the man, okay?
Yeah.
And I've took that to heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest.
You're leaning into it.
Dave's leaning into it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm very, very desperate for friendship. If that's what it takes.
This was I want to say a Raleigh, North Carolina show.
Yeah, I think that was Raleigh, North Carolina.
So there was a face painting lady across from where Dave's booth was. And I said, this was like a Sunday morning before we opened. And I went up to her. I'm like, hey, how much for you to paint a unicorn or some gay shit on Dave's face? And she's like, well, I'll do it for free for that guy. And I'm like, deal. I think I gave her like a $10 tip. And she's like, I'm like, Dave, she's, come over here. She wants to paint your face. He's like, well, fuck, okay. And then, dude, I think his sales tripled that day because he had his face painted like a 5-year-old girl.
Yeah. It's, again, embrace who you are, man. And again, marketing, branding, finding a way to really market what you're producing. Because again, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus because I'm also really bad at it sometimes myself. There were some absolutely phenomenal animals made this year. Not by one or two breeders in the industry, by a lot of people. But they were a blip. They were a one-day Facebook post we talked about. And then we didn't talk about them anymore.
Yeah.
Where Justin and other breeders in the industry have created I don't know if you can call it an art form. What they're producing is an art form because, you know, my comment before about throwing shit at the wall, the early days in the hobby, we threw shit at the wall and we hope it stuck. We produced spinner, calico, lesser, pastel, yellow belly, whatevers.
For
And there'd be a
years.
little bit of pattern down the back, but you know what? We had never saw that before, and that shit was mind-blowing. Like, just the fact that somebody could be that far along in a project to produce this 5-6 gene codon at one point was amazing. And then, again, that was the norm in that day. That was the norm. That's what got us by. And here's the cool thing about modern-day breeders, in my opinion. Not all of them, because, you know, I'm still throwing some shit at the wall and hoping for the best every once in a while. But a guy like William came in young. And, you know, a guy like Justin, and I could go on and on, and, you know, I'll throw every name out there if you want, but you guys know who you are, and you're doing a great job. But ball python people get a hard time from everybody else in the community because, in my opinion, we are the people that throw shit at the wall and see if it sticks. But modern-day ball python breeders that are now truly engineering and creating an art piece out of your animals and doing crosses that you can actually build on, because there is no building on a spinner, super pastel, lesser, calico, yellow belly fighter.
You're done. End of the road.
You peaked. You're there.
Yeah.
There's no second conversation. You don't look at that animal and say, what if? It's, what the fuck do I got to take out of this so I can do something else?
Yeah.
But again, we shift. You know, we see something cool and we go that route. We saw our first mystic potion, and for 5 years after that, the value of a female mystic or a male mystic and a female Mojave, like, I think the price shifted a little bit. I know female Mojaves went up a little bit, but goddamn, was that demand high? Like, you could not produce enough. And when the vanilla cream happened, we saw that vanilla cream and everyone got excited. And now every vanilla female and every fire female at every show. And then we had our next big shift. It was the clown ball python. There was days at Tinley where if you did not show up on Friday, there was no chance in hell you were going to buy a female clown ball python at the show. The shift happened. Some people saw it and some people didn't. People like me, who again was not a big ball python guy at that point, I probably made my jokes. It's whatever, you know, I can care less. You know, I thought, you know, we're just chasing another thing because we're chasing it. And now it's the norm. You know, this is a very trendy hobby. And the reality is we create our own trends. Every once in a while we get lucky, but, you know, it's Justin really opened the door for a lot of people, in my opinion, because he was a really good marketer. And suddenly we started stacking genes in a sense where we didn't ever really hit the top yet. Like, even the Pompeii has potential to be a better Pompeii for the future. And, you know, even talking to my friend Ryan the other day, again, a guy who is very passionate about the hobby. He's not a big breeder. He's not a big anything. There you go, man. I mean, we're all excited about it. But, you know, my buddy Ryan and me are on the phone, and we talked about the
Eric Carr got hurt 5 minutes into the game.
football, the Wookiee project. So Wookiee,
Love it.
that Wookiee video was an eye-opener for ball pythons. And this is direct quotes out of my friend Ryan's mouth. As somebody looking in on the outside to watch that video, for days he thought to himself, I don't even understand the possibilities of a ball python anymore. Things that I saw in this video were unlike anything that I thought was even achievable. And even Justin, with his reaction and the connection to the public in that video, was, I couldn't even imagine this was what my outcome was going to be. I put this together, but like, did I really think this was going to happen? And it just, again, it just shows ball pythons and 100 million combos that we can do. It's endless. But again, at the end of the day, it comes down to your marketing. It comes down to the quality of your pictures. It comes down to a lot of aspects. You can't just make a nice animal and be successful. You need to tease people. You need to get them interested. And this is not bad sales. This is not bad marketing. This is just the way it works. I mean, if people aren't excited about anything, they're not going to want to buy it. Like, the reality is, too, like, so many genes in ball pythons have been left behind over the years. And just one to bring up randomly would be the sable ball python, a very unique dark mutation.
Yeah.
But the super form was a wobbly, spinny, embarrassing motherfucker.
There's
Like,
a lot of those though that are still popular though. I mean,
Yeah,
so are super spot nose. Look how popular spot nose are.
yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, you're right. There is a sable community out there. But when was the last time somebody brought up sable to you guys? When was the last time you guys saw a sable at a show? Like,
I've
it's a
never
very
seen 'em.
niche. They don't exist. And the funny thing is, if somebody out there, Joe Schmo, anybody in this industry, has a group of sables and finds a way to market it in a manner that we have many other genes that have fallen off the face of the earth, like a red stripe, like a spot nose, things that were cool, but we just didn't see the potential in it. And then we make that one combo and we just set a market. Vanilla cream, mystic potions. There is an art form to this, and there is a business side of this. You know, we all walk in and I know this is fun and we all drink together and this is a great time, but there's more to it than that. Like, if you truly want to be successful, you have to be out there. You have to be doing stuff. You have to be making this amazing stuff and teasing people with it a little bit. When you make the Pompeii, you don't show the Pompeii off until you have something to sell from a Pompeii. It doesn't make any sense to market a product you don't have anything to sell, because you're going to get people excited about something they can't have. Like, you got to work with it. And I'm not saying this is the way every business needs to work. I was very successful in this industry for a very long time, and I didn't even have a business card for 4 years. I just made it work, and it was my grind. But
you're like a door-to-door salesman back then.
I'm a goddamn door-to-door salesman. I show up with a suitcase and I pop that thing over and wink my eye at you and just, like, you know, shake it a little bit until you're interested.
Yeah,
I know what you do.
Yeah. To build on that, I think it's also important that if you're gonna hold something back and build this hype around something, make it worth something. Make it worth something building hype around. Like, I see guys with these secrets, and I don't want people to know I have this. And it's like, bro, it's an NJ clown. Like, chill.
Right.
You know, like, it's not like, you know, the Pompeii was something that we'd never seen a ball python look like this. And time after time after time, Justin has shown, and I won't lie. I 4 years ago, it was like, clown's a dead end. Clown's dead. Clown's dead. It's caving in. Like, you know, we've seen Batmans, we've seen this, we've seen that. And then, boom, crazy fucking clown combo. And it's like, there's a whole avenue just to work down that. And I don't know if Justin, maybe he didn't even realize he was doing it, but I think there's a formula to making a very striking clown. And that was spot nose, yellow belly, and red stripe, and then add a dark gene. So spot nose, yellow belly, red stripe, blackhead clown. Spot nose, yellow belly, red stripe, chocolate clown. Spot nose, yellow belly, red stripe, Wookiee clown. They're all going to be slight variations of Pompeii. And my favorite version of the Pompeii was the chocolate one. That's another gene. It was nothing. Like, super chocolates were awesome. Chocolates were awesome, but you could pick out chocolates for next to nothing. Put it into a clown and bang. Everybody's got to have chocolate. I ran out to go buy chocolate. Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I heard a voice. Was that Ryan or Ben, or was that Chad?
Nope, not me.
Okay, I'm sorry. So, again, a stab and then a bring up. I don't mean to stab at things. I find this comical how things have worked over the years, because, again, we've all had these things for years, and it just took us a long time to figure out what to do with them. But again, 100 million combos. It takes a while to get it right. My joke with the chocolate when I first saw it come out was the trend of clown ball pythons went like this. They became popular, and now you didn't just buy a female clown. It had to be a reduced pattern, and the more reduced pattern it was, the more money it was worth. And now we made a chocolate ball python, or a chocolate clown. And again, not devaluing in any way. I think it actually, you know, I love the building block on it, like a lot of other genes. And I want to talk about redhead after this in that video. We essentially took a clown and we spent 10 years reducing the pattern. And then with one combo, we made it look like the same one that came in the country in 1999. Now, I know it's not exactly the same. I'm not devaluing or like fucking with it in any way. I'm just saying that the mindset shifts, and you can't necessarily know how it's going to shift. There is some luck in this. I am very happy that a company that worked with a certain gene for a very long time stuck it out through the hard years and benefits from it in the good years. What is going on with Desert Ghost right now? Thank God that the Bells kept their grind and kept doing what they were doing.
Yep.
And now look at them. An animal that got devalued, thrown to the side, is now one of the most popular genes in the industry at this moment, because people just took too long to find out the potential. Because again, the mindset of what is a good way to run your business and what combinations you should do in ball pythons is going to change every 5 years. And it always comes down to that right guy who's going to make you start thinking what you want to do. Ben was the Kodam stacking king. Chun was the Kodam stacking king. These guys came out and they did something that made you want to do that. And then somebody else came in and they started doing stuff. Fuck, man, we're talking recessive and how cool it is that, you know, William was doing what he was doing when he was doing it. Fucking Ralph Davis was making double recessive lavender genetic stripes, double recessive lavender pieds. What, 2004, 2005, maybe before?
Yes. He was
Like,
killing double recessives in the 2000s.
Yeah, like it's in now
Dude,
mind you.
It literally broke my heart when he like fell off the internet. Like I loved the stuff that he was posting, and then he like disappeared.
Funny, I went back and watched 5, 6 of his videos from 2010, 2011 this weekend.
Yeah, there's a nostalgia there, and
You
you know
know-
what's really funny though with the modern day breeder. Just think if a Chad Halker went online tomorrow and showed a picture of his caramel ball python that had so many kinks and bends, but it was 2,000 grams and still alive and still eating and still shitting. If Chad put that video up tomorrow, he would be scalded by the entire community. He'd be scalded by PETA. People would be going after him.
Yeah.
But back then, I don't know why, I thought that was unique. I thought that was cool. It was a freak of nature, but it was alive and it was thriving. Mindset's not that way anymore. You put something like that up, you're donezo. Ironically, a 2-headed snake is like a huge deformity, but we all get off on it anyways for now, until the day comes where somebody is against it and they talk a bunch of other people into it.
Yeah.
Do you think on the marketing aspect, do you think it's so much marketing your product or is it more marketing yourself? Because for me specifically, I don't want to be a YouTube personality. I don't want to be a celebrity on YouTube. And that's not my goal.
I don't have that in me whatsoever.
My goal is to use YouTube as a platform to show people what I've been doing and what I've made and show this is the animals. And that's why majority of my videos is like me, like, hey guys, it's Will. By the way, this is what I made. And the camera cuts right to a table and it's just my hands looking at a snake because my channel's about snakes, not about me.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel. A lot of people, it's more about them than the snake. And it becomes more of like a follow me, I do snakes. Mine is more like follow my snakes and I'm just a bonus.
Well, you know, this again comes down to your strengths. You know, you're producing amazing animals. I could think of 5 or 6 or 10 animals that you produced last year that were mind-blowing. So your snakes do all the talking for you. You don't need to necessarily have a personality to back it up. Just don't be a fucking asshole and everything's good, in my opinion. But, you know, this again just falls down or comes down to what is best for your marketing. If your marketing is more about the animal and less about the personality that you add to it, you should be embracing that. You should be pushing that. And that's why you do what you do. And that's why you have that popularity. Now, again, the reality is I'm a goofy motherfucker. I'll probably advertise myself more than the animal, but I'm also chasing a different game than other breeders. I'm not a $5,000 animal guy. I am a $200 to $700 animal guy. Occasionally $1,000, occasionally $2,000, but my grind is not that $5,000 animal. Now, I won't say that I'm not building stuff up at the moment to try to have more of that because that sounds like a pretty sweet deal, but it's not
your perception. That's your perception of yourself, not the perception other people have. Because until you said that, my perception of you was that $5,000 animal guy. Because you had statics, you had these crazy Cypress combos, you had all this shit, like the spot nose puzzle, you had all this shit, and I was like, fuck. I saw you made the spot nose puzzle, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I made pastel puzzles. I called you right away. I want it.
Okay.
And so my perception of you was the higher end stuff, not. So I think everyone has a different, like, I don't know what people perceive RCR to be, or where we are on that tier. I don't know. I know where I perceive us to be, but public perception and my perception is two totally different things.
Well, and I think Chad will back me up with this. My perception towards you completely changed when you told me about what you started doing in 2011. Your 2011 mindset of your breeding was 2017 all day long. Like, and it wasn't even 2017. It was like maybe 2018. People started thinking about that. You went a different route with your company because, again, you had a certain vision in your head and you chased the recessive and you chased the right recessives. People have chased the wrong ones. Here's the thing. Your company had a 50-50 chance at failing because your two investments were Desert Ghost and Carmel. Carmel could have crippled you, but it didn't. You had Desert Ghost, and then you made other investments and you made the right ones. But the reality is, I could rebuild my business 10 times. And, you know, when we talk about my business, and again, the perception of me in the hobby, the reality is, yes, I have been around for a long time, and I've been at different levels, helping different people and doing different things and having my own thing and so on and so forth. You know, walking into the Ben position didn't mean that I was some big ball python breeder. It was a situation that I happened to walk into because I needed to, and I tried to turn it into something. But the reality is, and I've said this for the last year, the first 3 years of working with a beautiful collection that Ben created with his genius mind. The guy was a mad scientist of ball python breeders. I had to walk into that. And in the beginning, my mindset was survival. Produce clutches, produce babies, pay the bills, make it work. Now my mindset is I need to take something that somebody else did with, again, genes that may not always be the most relevant gene. How can I now really sit down and break this down to designing an animal that someone's going to really want? So, you know, I do appreciate what you said, but, you know, the reality is, you know, I got put into a position. I'm more probably well known in the skin community and the boa community than I am the ball python community before 2017. Now, I always had a ball python on my table, and I've always had partnerships with other ball python breeders while I've had animals in collections and I've had my own. But the reality is, before I got to Ben's place, I never bred more than 15 ball pythons in a single season. And then I walk into a warehouse. And like I said, my state of mind has changed a lot since I got there. And again, now this past year was a building block. Because like we're talking right now, 100 million combinations. I have infinite animals and infinite genes. I can do things for me that I expected. I can't carry on exactly what Ben was doing because I didn't know Ben's next step. I love talking marketing. I love talking economy with the guy. I love talking mutations, but we don't even necessarily know what the next generation of Rennick reptiles was going to be. Right. So I'm taking ingredients that were there and I am trying to figure out a way to tweak them. And the reality is I am looking at what other people are doing, and I'm going to be like a lot of other people. I'm going to get all excited when a new gene comes out and I'm going to want to chase it. Now, will I always go after it? Not necessarily, because I'm Jewish, and I'm going to probably, just like I do to Chad, I'm going to talk about 5,000 ads he sends me based on the price and not the animal he's buying. He's going to send it to William now because we're in a little group chat. William's be like, oh, man, that's such a flex. Good for you, buddy. I love you. And I'm like, oh, dude, how are you doing this to yourself? Like, and, you know, the spot nose puzzle thing. You know, that was just something that Ben had been working on. And I happened to walk into Hetz and I happened to hit the odds, and it happened to make a really unique animal. I've always really loved the Puzzle Project as a non-big ball python breeder, and I've always really loved the Desert Ghost as a non-big ball python breeder. And I'll be honest, I get off on every single thing. Like, I remember the first time I saw hypo cinnamon or a mimosa cinnamon, hypo cinnamon champagne. Yep. Oh my God. Tinley Park, I go by a guy's table and he has that one animal and I'm fanboying. And I'm all like, this is so cool. And he's like, you know what's even cooler? I bred 2 animals together to make this. all the eggs went bad in the incubator except for one egg. And I got that one mutation and I hit exactly what I wanted to. And at that point made a fabulous looking animal. Oh, fuck, man. Like I said, I really do appreciate ball pythons and I really do appreciate the position I'm in. But the reality is, unlike a Chad and even Ben and Ryan over there doing what they're doing building blocks of the Lori project and other stuff, and what William's doing up there with double head Desert Ghost stuff, like what you're going to put on the market this year is going to be some of the best stuff we've ever seen. And we all know that Levinson is teasing us over there. And we all know that that guy's got some shit and he's going to blow our fucking minds the moment he's ready to. And I can't fucking wait because, again, I'm always going to fanboy on the species.
Let me ask that question because I've known Levinson for probably 10 years. But he's one of those secretive dudes. And he lets you know that he's got some stuff, but nobody really knows what he's got. I can't wait till he decides to unleash. I mean, he does post some hot pictures. He posts some of that fire that he makes over there, but it's like one thing every once in a while. I know he's got a lot of stuff over there. I can't wait to see what he has.
Yeah. No, and you know what, too? Like, and I think, this is the week we're going to talk about it. This past week we had a little controversy and the industry got a little riled up about something. And the reality is, and I don't want to be an asshole, and I've already said it a million times in this podcast, I don't watch your videos. I don't listen to your podcast. Should I? I probably should, but I don't. And that's not for one person. That's everybody. We had Joe on here a few weeks ago. I didn't even know the guy had a podcast. I'm talking about pine snakes. And he's like, oh, I got a podcast. Like, I'm not always connected with that side of the community. But I think I jumped on board with what I saw based on a couple of Facebook posts without actually even hearing the podcast. And again, I had a really great conversation with my friend Ryan the other night. It was a 3-hour conversation, and he listened to that podcast based on screenshots I sent to him what was going on that day. And when I talked to him, based on his opinion, I don't necessarily think there was anything wrong with that podcast. I think that we all are allowed to have our opinions. I do think there's always going to be a little controversy when there's money involved. And the reality is, from what I heard, that everything that Levan said was very positive. He did tell certain things, but he didn't give you full stories. He didn't tell you the details. He just said, hey, this is just the way I feel. I'm not going to get into it, I guess. And that was it. And that's a professional way of going about it. The reality is, we don't all have to like each other. This is a business, and it's a very competitive business. When there's thousands of dollars on the line with combinations that you're producing, and if somebody else might be doing the same thing, people are going to get aggressive. That's why co-dominants typically fail, because we buy a co-dom with the expectation of that $5,000 animal being a $5,000 animal when you produce it 14 months later, and it doesn't work that way.
Expectation is what sets you up for disappointment, though.
Yeah,
you have to expect it to drop. Yeah. And this is a competitive business, no doubt about it. But one of the things that we sort of looked at right off the bat was like, this is competitive. How can you make it so you don't really have competition? And that's to do something different. You get 4 years into a different project that no one else has even got eyes on. You got a 4-year head start. And now we all know that once you have the girls ready and the males ready and you start making combos, it starts to roll. Like, it gets exponentially crazier. And I think you're going to see, I've said it before, I think the ball python industry for the last maybe 20 years, I don't really know. I think since I've been in it, has been growing like a tree, right? The tree, it starts straight, it just shoots straight up, and then it branches off, and then it shoots straight up again, and it branches off. And once it gets to an adult tree, the branches go all sorts of different ways. And like, so Chad and myself, we could be going on the Desert Ghost project together, and then completely split off.
You go like your direction, I go my direction, and there, someone else goes another direction with it.
And there's no way for me to be like, oh, I like his direction. There's no way for me to pivot and catch up to you when you're 4 years into it. Right. It's just not going to happen, And that's the way to set yourself up to have no competition. You set yourself up where you're like, I'm the only guy working on Cypress red stripe blackhead Desert Ghost clowns. Like,
right.
Yeah, dude, who the fuck's gonna do that? Like, yeah, it's hard enough for me to do, let alone most other guys. You know, it's a challenge to do stuff like that.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge with most of us, and me and Dave have talked a lot about this, about following the top guy or always following someone else's project or following what you're trying to do. And there's a handful of top guys that show off their product, and then the rest of us just follow suit and spend the next 4 years trying to make what they just made. And that's another thing that Dave has been stressing, that is something that we need to stop doing and stop chasing so much. There's money to be made doing that. When Justin produces a video and makes a Pompeii or a redhead clown, and you go out that year and spend your honeypot on those genes, and you're producing stuff the next year to follow in his footsteps, there is money to be made that way. But you can do both, but it is difficult. I find it very difficult to do something new or to go a direction you haven't seen anybody go. It's very difficult. That's something that I've been struggling with. Where do you invest your money next? What do you do next? Because it's all super cool, and everybody's doing a version of all these recessives now and doubling and tripling them up. So what's the next step? And that's what I find the most challenging.
Well, I just want to. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Chad. One animal that you produced. What year did you produce your first puma pied?
14, I think.
Okay.
14.
So puma, as we know, was the bastard child of allelic traits with yellow belly. It was the least popular, least desired. It went the fuck away. My buddy Matt Knowles made some super inchy leopard sparks or possible super sparks. And I have one of the females here, and it's fucking phenomenal. Now, you had a project that in 2014, in my opinion, was very unique. And yes, because of popularity, it fell off. But what if, just what if, your pie project now incorporated inchy and leopard into it with that? Dude, you could be next level.
Yeah, right. It's good. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, and you know what that means? Everyone's going to run out and buy every single spark they can find. It just takes one good animal, and that's the way this hobby's always going to be. And, with what you're saying about, my comments about Justin and all that, because, again, I'm trying to keep it positive. Just like with what Tim said in the last interview, and I know that Chad just listened to that podcast, when you go to that level of a purchase, you're buying time. You're not buying an animal. It's a matter of you getting there faster than doing it yourself. Where Dave, personally, I'm a do-it-myself kind of guy because, again, I'm going to play the Jew card as much as possible. I know this is a Christmas sweater, but I'm going to play the Jew card. I'm not always going to be that guy willing to chase a multi-co-dominant recessive project. At some point, I really hope that I have the vision that certain people have in the eye for creating a certain ball python they do, because the reality is it's not a fluke that Justin makes what he makes.
No, it's not.
Yeah. It is truly turning into an art form. But again, like I said, in the early days, it was, hey, we got a new gene, throw it into those other 7 genes. I don't want to jump off this conversation, but I want to talk about the redhead gene. Can we talk about the redhead gene?
Yes, a perfect example.
So I watched that video, so when it was over, I could call Chad or I could message Chad and talk shit. I wanted to look at this very simple, non-appealing gene, watch the video, and hit up Chad and be like, man, what a dog shit project. And then I watched that. And just like what William said earlier, Justin has ingredients to what he does. His yellow belly, his spot nose, black pastel, fire. And no matter what the project is he gets in, I feel that those are those genes that he'll put into it that'll actually make him make the decision if it's even worth chasing.
Right.
And he did that with redhead, and he made a very appealing looking animal that I would have never expected. And that, again, whether you're a ball python guy or not, that is an art form. It's taking something that not everyone could see, having an eye for it, and creating something not fucking on accident because you engineered it, because you knew what you could put into it to bring out the best in it. And then once you brought out the best in it, you can figure out where you want to take it based on what you see. Corn snake guys, leopard gecko guys, and there's a lot of leopard gecko guys with line breeding, which AMG did for years. There's line bred corn snakes out there. There's line bred everything out there that we don't even fathom in the ball python community, but it is, in my opinion, an art form. And that's really what I love about it. Like I said, you can love or hate Justin, you can be jealous, whatever else. We all have our own grind. He, in my opinion, has one of the best eyes for ball pythons at this point in the industry based on what he's done to this point. And I keep on making the comment. Oh, go ahead.
Will, what do you? I was gonna say, Will, what do you think about this? I mean, it's turning into a Dave podcast here all of a sudden.
I am so sorry, man. This can is late. This is like 14% alcohol
I have
content.
a question about Four Loko. Is there caffeine in it too? Is it caffeine and alcohol?
I mean, if I could read, I could tell you, but I don't think I can read this in the next 30 seconds. You know what? And Ben, you are right, and I don't mean to turn into this. The reality is, yeah, it's the conversations I'm having right now are literally the same conversations that me and William and Chad, because I talked to William and I talked to Chad. These are conversations that started developing a few weeks ago. And I think they're awesome conversations. And that's why I keep talking to William, and that's why I keep talking to Chad. Having Chad.
So I want to hear William's
I'm
hear
so
Will's
sorry.
opinion on anything you're talking about.
Raising his hand. Or reason that's my
I
bad.
agree with all of it. Justin has time and time again surprised me, and it's not a fluke. It's not. I can stumble. So this is the difference. I stumble on a crazy combo. It's a fluke. Justin makes them with an expectation that this is going to be a good combo. He just. It's so, for example, chocolate spot nose. I had no fucking clue that was going to be such a reactive snake. Cypress spot nose. Now, he has ingredients that I think he uses to determine the value, or not the value, but the viability, I guess, of another gene. If it interacts with spot nose well, if it interacts with red stripe well, with black pastel, with yellow belly, with leopard, you know that's a good platform to start building off of. And dude, and like this shit, like the Cypress red stripe. What? It's so sick. It's so sick, and it's such a simple combo. And is it allelic? We don't know it yet. I don't think. It's time and time and time again. And if you can do that consistently, it's not luck. There's a luck element to it, but it's not just luck. I think Justin probably, out of all the guys, shouldn't say all, but in one, he's probably one of those guys that can just look at a gene and be like, okay, if we can. He looks at such subtle things that my eyes just glance right over. He's like, oh, okay, we're gonna
all the time. Dave shows me all these dinkers he's got over there, all the stuff that Ben's collected, and he always shows me these subtle. What do you think about this? I'm like, dude, it's a. I don't know. I need wow factor. I need that visual. I need something like that grabs me. I'm terrible at picking that subtle stuff out and valuing it. That's a really cool knack that Justin has, to be able to look at. Even red stripe for the longest time was like very unappealing to me.
Right.
And it takes a lot. Even Cypress was a gene that I was like, man, I don't see it. And now all of a sudden it's like just these right combos, and now it's like awesome.
I use Desert Ghost, and I've sort of cheated with Desert Ghost because anything that's been made, I know it's going to look cool. Like anything that looks cool already, I can be like, okay, I'll make that with Desert Ghost on it. And that's, I mean, Desert Ghost Clown is a great example of that. Like I know spot nose, yellow belly, fire, OD, Cypress, and I know together. Pop Desert Ghost on top of it, and you're going to have magic. It's just going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And so I'm using it as almost like a cheat code. The one that I'm the most excited about is Puzzle, because Puzzle, I shouldn't say I'm on the forefront, but I think that's probably a fair term. I'm making puzzle combos, or I'm about to start making puzzle combos that we don't have an expectation, and that's hard for me to be like, okay, this. So what I'm doing is I'm taking genes that I know react well in codon, Cypress, spot nose. Okay, let's put puzzle on top of that. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not doing the Justin thing where I am like, okay, I see like these little flecks where I'm gonna have black pastel. Okay, we gotta take this out and that. I'm just like, man, just fucking smash them together. Like that takes a different level of focus, and I don't think many breeders do that. I think a lot of breeders get lost in the. I chase the reaction. So like Cypress and Red Stripe right away, and I'm like, okay, that's a really, really good combo. I'm gonna make a puzzle version of that. Chocolate spot nose, I want to make a puzzle version of that. I take a lot of inspiration out of Justin's clown stuff, and I'm like, okay, that worked really well in clown. I'm gonna puzzle it, and I don't necessarily have to make that combo, but I put those ingredients into the project, and that way it's like, okay, I can start to pivot, and I have black pastel in puzzle, I can add red stripe and spot nose, and I don't know what the hell is going to happen with puzzle. It's, I think with puzzle, people have an expectation that it has to be like a clown, and that's what's holding people back.
People are looking for that replacement for clown, and people think puzzle's going to be that. That's what it seems.
Can I say that's exactly what's going to happen?
You think that's exactly what's going to happen?
Okay, this is my opinion. And again, if marketed properly, there's no reason why it couldn't be that way. And okay, Ben, you got a new job for the rest of the podcast. If I talk for more than 60 seconds without anybody saying anything, I want you to raise your hand, and I will shut the fuck up immediately. Like, I will mid-point stop talking. You start waving your hands around.
There's no fun of me speaking. This is supposed to be banter. Like, talk back and forth. Let's go.
And honestly, this is a banter. And I do talk a lot. I'm a talkative motherfucker. So this is just part of our banter. And I'm not trying to hijack it. But you know what? I'm loving everything about this because this is why I talk to you guys.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, why puzzle has the potential of being the next generation of clown. And again, a Dom Patterson quote, there's the ball python market, and then there's the clown ball python market. Why will there not be a puzzle ball python market based on the fact that this year was, in my opinion, the biggest year for puzzle to date? There were more combinations done with puzzle this year than ever before, as anything progressing should be. But not only were there nice combos, but god darn did they all look good. Even the cinnamon puzzle had a unique pattern in highlights, in flames, in zigzags, and all these things that got you real excited. What does the cinnamon clown do? Changes the color a little bit. Pattern looks about the same. It's exactly what you might think it would be. That's why I think that puzzle has potential, and I will be honest, and now this is where I fail at marketing. When an investor comes to me and asks me what I think is the good investment, I'm saying puzzle right now. And people are putting stock in that. And when I tell them puzzle is, in my opinion, a real strong shot at being a good investment. I mean, what was the first animal that Ben showed you today that William made? A pastel leopard Inchi puzzle. Because he was stalking the fuck out of William while I'm talking my ass off. And that one animal was so fucking nice. In the middle of a conversation about my balls, he put that picture up on there. Zero significance, but he could not help himself because that animal was beautiful. And that is why I personally believe that in a few years or whenever the day comes, people will start shifting because at some point, maybe we start getting to the point of clowns where they start mushing together and certain combos start looking like certain combos. And we're going to need that new thing to excite us, like clown has done for the last decade. I don't know why for a recessive, puzzle does not have that power based on the pattern. Oh, I'm sorry. That's it.
No.
That's it. I want to hear it.
The way I look at that is 100% right. People are expecting puzzle to replace clown. It doesn't have to. If puzzle is 25% as successful as clown, it's a fantastic investment.
Yeah.
Fantastic. 25%. That's nothing. If it's 50% as successful as clown and has as much combo potential as clown, insane investment. You know what I mean? Like, and the thing that I find exciting about puzzle is nothing's been done. So like just before I came in here, I was checking on some pairings. I've been just taking a puzzle and just making fucking madness, like hets, just like whatever hets I can make, and like I'll figure it out once I have them. And we had a blackhead Mojave pastel het puzzle locked up to a spot nose het puzzle, and it's like, dude, what the fuck's that gonna do? A blackhead Mojave spot nose puzzle? Like, dude, who the fuck knows? And I made that snake that you were just talking about. There was a. So at first I thought it was pastel. There's no pastel in it.
Oh, really?
It's a leopard Enchi yellow belly puzzle. Now, my curiosity is I know that guy. Yeah, that's leopard Enchi yellow belly puzzle. And I know that leopard and Enchi work awesome in ivories. So I'm going to put this boy to a yellow belly het puzzle female. And if I can make that as an ivory, who knows what that's going to look like? I want to make this as a desert. Like this boy's about 600 grams right now, and he's a 2020 male, so I got to take it easy on him. But I'm going to try and get him into a couple girls this year. But I have, like, I look at this male and I'm like, I have 25 females that I want to put him to, you know, and that's what tells me, at least in my opinion, that it's a strong project. That I hatch an animal like this and I'm like, okay, this is a different, and the thing is this doesn't even look like a typical puzzle anymore. When you're able to change it this much, that's telling me that there's real leverage here. There's real legs on this project.
Well, and again, 2 seconds, and then William could talk again. You know, even what you're saying right now, people say the same thing about clown combinations. It doesn't even look like a clown anymore. The head is the only distinct thing about the animal that looks like a clown. Okay, cool. It doesn't matter because that other 95% of that body is going to be hard right now. I'm good with that. I don't give a shit. Like, it's not what I expected, but I'm loving it.
I find the guys who hate the most on puzzle are the heaviest invested in clown. Well, I think it's threaten's not the right term, but it's a nervousness that, like, wait a second, clown may not be the spotlight. And don't get me wrong, I have tons of clowns. I love clown stuff. Desert Ghost Clown is one of my main focuses, but you know damn well Desert Ghost Puzzle is also a really big focus for us here. And
so, I'm sorry, your fear factor, and I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
the fear factor that you have with what you just said, because a lot of us are still living in the co-dominant state of mind, where when two people have the same thing, we panic because we don't trust what the other person's going to do with it. But when you talk about recessives and stacking recessives and double recessives, there's time involved in this. You're not going to get lucky. You're going to miss a bunch of times. Maybe you get lucky now and again, but you'll probably hold all those animals back anyway. So who gives a shit? Like, you're not going to collapse the market. Co-dominant, I mean, I'll be honest, when I talk to Chad, I live in a co-dominant state of mind. When Chad sends me a double het, multi-co-dominant Desert Ghost Clown, I'm over here trying to talk him out of it. I'm trying to talk him into all the other options he has in life. I'm literally making him reassess his life. We're talking about, like, his bank accounts. We're talking about the works, man. Like, I am breaking it down because I'm playing with his money like it's my own. Even, like, you know, okay, so a past conversation
came back to my original thought, though. Like, I consider everything you'll say, and then I'll maybe ask another buddy. You know what? I'm just going to get what I want to get because I'm going to produce what I want to produce.
Right, dude. That's like the root of everything. Like, personally, I'm not a big pied guy. I think pies are limiting. I think there's a certain point where we can get to when you have a high weight, a low weight. I think there is a plateau for pied. But at the end of the day, who the fuck am I to tell you that I don't like pied? Everyone likes pied. What the fuck does my opinion matter? If you like it, you like it. Work it. And if you're working a project you don't like, you're gonna fail with it. If you like it, you're gonna clean up with it because it's what you really want to be making.
Well, with that said, you know, we personally are in a position here where we have potential of building on the pie project. Yep. And we did a lot of pairings this year in hopes of building on the pie project. I agree with everything you said. Pied is so delicate. You can over-season a pie to the point where it tastes disgusting. Like, it is just, you lose everything good about the goddamn thing. Like, why'd you even bother trying this? Like, But with that being said, now that intrigues the fuck out of me because we all know that we don't like to be told what we can't do.
Right.
We all know that everyone in the industry bought a Bolin's python because they were told they could not breed it and they'd never be successful. And in my opinion, the same thing goes for the Pied Project. You just put up a challenge to the industry. How is that project going to really take off because you are limited? I've got stuff going on over here. I'm not a secretive guy, and I'm afraid to tell William because I owe him a little bit of money for the Monsoon Project right now, but I made both red stripe double head hypopied combination codoms this year and Cypress double head hypopied codoms over here. I am so genuinely excited about making a Cypress red stripe hypopied in the future.
It could be fucking. One thing that I'll say about pies, as much as I say that they're limited, the most spectacular looking animals are generally pies. So there's the pies have that like a full spectrum. It's like all white or just a little chunk on its head, or like fucking insane, bright, beautiful contrast. Like that's what you want. And don't get me wrong, I'm huge into Desert Ghost Pied stuff. It's like anything Desert Ghost, obviously a huge focus of ours. But Desert Ghost Pied, that's got a ton of legs. Like, and I don't even think Desert Ghost Pied has to be like the OD stuff. Like I think like blackhead, Enchi, yellow belly, DG Pied. Like fuck, dude, it's gonna be.
Yep.
Chad, you're male. You're male as a pied. Holy fuck. Holy fuck, man. You know, like that. Just.
So, by the way, because nobody knows, because me, William, and Chad talk together now, we got a little thing going. It's kind of like a poly relationship with a lot of penetration. It's exactly what you think it is. Chad has a chocolate Desert Ghost mahogany male, bought as a chocolate Desert Ghost, proved out mahogany in his first breeding, and it's a building block project for him now. In my opinion, takes Chad to the next level of awesome. And I love everything about it.
Not kill that male. He got really skinny last year. I'm like trying to put weight back.
Yeah. Way to make it depressing, buddy. Christmas special, bud. I need jingle bells, bro.
I'm the most excited about that male, so I did breed him a little more than I probably should have. So that's just how excited I am about him. But he's doing great. He's putting on good weight now.
So are you in the puzzle project, Chad?
What's that?
Are you into puzzles?
I have a single gene male. I've been breeding him and trying to hatch my own hets, but I didn't produce a whole lot from him. But I mean, he's still, dude. He's a great male. I mean, I'll breed him a good bunch this next year. I don't have any visuals though.
Now, Dave, do you find? And then one thing that I've noticed with puzzles, I think they're extremely like it's a very prolific gene. I find they eat, they breed, they grow. Like it's a strong, robust gene.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, I'm excited about the puzzle stuff, man. Like the one I got, a lot of the females I ended up putting them to, and I had already used a male, like, and they just started developing good follicles after I used a male like for their first pairing, and a lot of the females didn't go from that puzzle male. So I do have one clutch out from him, and I have I had a previous clutch, but they do eat really good. So yeah. I'm excited, man. I'm just super behind in it, but you know you're never too late. So, dude,
what like realistically with a recessive project and the thing is like what's 2 years? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like it's nothing.
Yeah. No, right. 2 years is really fast. And those females, man, if you hatch, and you know this is another controversial topic, but if you feed these things like they want to eat, those females have no problem going in 2 years.
No.
I've had some that I've hatched last year, so 2019. They're not even. We're almost in 2021, but they got follicles and they're 19s.
Yep.
Not to pair them yet. I want some more size on them, but they will go if they eat good and you feed good. 2 years is it for a female, man.
Dude, my Desert Ghost puzzle is a 19, and she's like 1,400 grams and eating every day. Like every day, if you feed her every week, she's pounding food. And I'm sitting here like, well, if you want to go, I'll breed you.
Yeah. Show me the follicles, and there she's good to go.
Have you ever heard of this? Is actually pretty interesting. Have you ever heard of a female being negatively affected by being bred young? Because I haven't.
No, I haven't. No, I mean, they
Can
might
you
take
define
the
that a
off
little
after.
more? Can we hear grams and age, not just saying young?
1,200
even
gram
care about
female
that.
being paired. People are like, you got to wait till 1,500 grams. You're pairing her at 1,200 grams.
So
Have you ever heard of a negative effect of that? The only thing I can think of is a positive, and it's them jumping onto food. They may not produce, but they get back on food.
So
Yeah.
I've heard people talk about that it shortens their lifespan.
How?
Who the fuck knows that? A guy who's been breeding for 2 years? What kind
Yeah,
of bullshit
with
is that? Call
science.
Graziani up.
Instead of going, instead of being 40 years old, they died at 30 years.
Yeah.
There was
This hobby wasn't even existing 40 years ago. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I'm not supporting it. You guys are bad people, but I'm just saying they don't know what they're talking about.
we had a guy on
Yeah.
on one of our podcasts who's a good friend of yours.
What's his name? Call that motherfucker out right now, because I'm not friends with bitches.
I'm not gonna say it now.
Call them out. Call them out, bro.
No, I'm just saying.
Let's go, Ben.
We'll talk afterwards. Is it
I'm
Bob
calling you
Boo? Is this a Bob Boo moment?
No, it wasn't Bob Vu.
Okay, then nothing matters. Go on.
And there's only one other ball python guy.
It wasn't a ball python guy, but he does do ball pythons.
Okay, well then we
I don't
probably
know,
should
man.
talk about this because
So
I
I
probably
have,
have a lot of respect.
everybody's got, if you have enough snakes, I have snakes that I really like, and they just say they're just not a great feeder. Say you got a 2-year-old female that's just not a good feeder, man. She'll skip meals, and she say she's 1,000 grams, and maybe she's 3 years old and she's 1,000 grams. Maybe she's 1,100 grams, and you're like, man, I can't wait to pair this girl because she's awesome. And then I go through ultrasounded, and then she's at 25 millimeters. Are you going to pair her or are you not going to pair her?
I'm going to pair her.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I got one gravid now that's maybe 1,100 grams when she was paired. And
Yep.
you know what happened? She started pounding food then. And then she ovulated. So that snake is sexually mature. She's just not that big. I don't we just can't get caught up in these weights, man. Like, and she's got age, but she's not a big snake. And she's going to lay eggs any day now. So
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think people overthink this stuff too much.
I kind of find it funny when people are like, "Oh, you're breeding that female too young." Like at the end of the day, realistically, man, what happens when the female's not interested? They don't fucking lock. They're at the opposite end of the bin.
They stay at the opposite end of the bin, man. They know.
They're not going to breed if they're not going to, like, it takes, like, they drop 1/3 of their body weight to produce a clutch. That's like a human giving birth to a 50-pound baby. If your body's not, like, these animals know that, okay, like, this is going to be a huge tax on my body. Am I going to do it? Is it worth the risk to reproduce?
Right.
If the risk is, if they're in good enough condition and they're, the biological clock is what tells them this is okay for me to reproduce or not.
Right.
And I think this nonsense about like, oh, you're breeding her at 1,100 grams. I've paired a lot of females at 1,100 grams with the intention, really, not of them laying eggs, but of them to go through the motion.
Start developing. Yeah, and then those are the ones when you do it, you open that bin and they're coming out like a freaking slinky looking for food, and then you just feed them and it works. That's how it works. If you don't feed them, they're not going to lay eggs. If they're not going to lay eggs, if they're not capable or mature or there's a problem in there, they'll just absorb like a lot of them do, or they just won't even allow breeding.
Exactly. Dave, what do you think on that?
I mean, honestly, because I'm a weirdo, I'll be honest. Like, at 15 years old, was it a very big penis? Not really, but you know what? It bred and it bred. I'll take it for it is. Were the loads very big? They're probably about average. I don't know. I wasn't out there testing the waters. I can't tell you for sure, but I'm just saying it worked itself out. So who am I to judge?
Right? That's, man. And another thing that I find is a lot of guys say like, oh, I have a male that's not breeding. And sometimes that's true,
Sure.
but I think more often than not, it's the female saying no.
Yeah.
Because if we look across the animal kingdom, as a general rule, the female dictates the breeding. The males are always ready. The males want to breed. The females like breed, males there, just like us. And it's always the female that's dictating, am I ready to be bred? And that's pretty much the case across the animal planet. And I think snakes are no exception there.
There is a
few exceptions.
Yeah. I mean, a breeder, and here's the thing. I am always looking for ways to improve what I do. I will talk to everybody and I'll take it with a grain of salt. And if I genuinely believe it can work, and one hard thing, honestly, in this hobby, we have 2 Achilles heels. When we do things, we do it on a mass scale, as in we don't experiment with a test group. We try our whole collection that way one year. And that is a horrible idea. And the other thing, which is completely left wing over here, but is quarantine racks. Like, goddamn, like, do we have to learn a lesson 100 times to get a quarantine rack? Like, what the fuck? But back to this other thing. I've lost all train of thought. I got it back. In nature, these animals, what are the chances of a compatible male finding a compatible female in the wild? This past year, I had a flip the script breeding idea that I was going to do. Day 1 breeding, I put a bunch of males in. And then I looked at it and I asked myself, what am I doing? I've been doing this for 3 years. I understand this pays the bills, but maybe this logic is not how I should do it. And from there on forward, for the next 3 months of those females, I rotated the male that I wanted through. I fed them the way they should have been fed, and they all gave me clutches. And a very high percentage of those females gave me a clutch from the first male, based on the fact that my first male was recessive to make visuals, followed by a codominant for a building block.
Yeah.
So, again, in nature, a breeder once told me that the reality is for a female to find a compatible male is a very low percentage. And when they do, they got to make it work. She's going to have to go into overdrive with feeding. She's going to have to go overdrive with follicle development. They might only get that one lock-in. The importance, the talk of holding on to sperm in a female for 2 years and still getting in a clutch from pet owners. We all know breeders don't experience that because we breed these motherfuckers almost every single year. But the importance of, again, the introduction of a male to a female in that first lock, in my opinion, this past year, based on what I saw on the 40 other locks that I got with that same female, didn't make a difference. My food intake was, in my opinion, the biggest factor in us having a good year this year, because we gave them an opportunity to build, and all those other males might have stimulated it. But a lot of times, and I will give you the percentage next year because I'm going to test it again, a very high percentage of the animals on that very first lock are what I got my clutch out of this year. I did recessive with pied. I thought it was a bad idea on Monday. On Tuesday, I put cool codoms in. 6 months later, I have clutches of all pieds.
Yep.
There's a lot of breaking down with this that we don't know. We're still figuring this out, and that's the reality. We're not all big scale. We're not all doing experiments. We just make it work however it does. Again,
I think food intake is the biggest thing.
It works. Yeah.
I think one of the things that, like, food intake during that building cycle is like the most important thing that they need. They need, like, basically, like, protein intake equals reproductive success. Like, it's just, you get a dog. You don't get a dog pregnant. A dog gets pregnant.
I mean, maybe I live in Missouri, man.
I don't know what you guys do down there, but, like, a pregnant dog eats like a motherfucker, right? We had one of our dogs got pregnant, and it's like it's ravenous. It wants to eat everything. Same shit's going on in the ball python. It's trying to build follicles, and it's going to reproduce, and it wants to eat. Feed it.
Yeah. So here's my question, though, with the idea of what you got to do and what works and doesn't work, because, again, we all have our own style and what we like for breeding. What if the reality is, and we have no idea what the percentage is, it's going to take a little focus group, but what if you give it that first lock at 6 to 10 millimeters, and then the next 3 months, you just focus on feeding it nonstop, a meal every 3 days, offering it up? Will that animal ovulate as many times as that other female that had 15 locks? Like, in nature, there's not 15 locks. There may be 1 lock, there may be 2 locks.
Right.
Are we overdoing our males right now? Like, we all had the era in the community where the ultrasound became popular, and suddenly we bred 1 male to 27 females, and it worked out with 24 females out of 27 would go? Like,
that's us.
Yeah, we're not breaking it down yet. And I tried the ultrasound. I hated depending on it. I hated depending on it for boas. I hated depending on it for ball pythons. I let them do it themselves this past year, and we had a very high percentage. I had one of my best years I've had while doing this at a large scale.
We
took that-
live and die with an ultrasound.
Yeah.
And one of the things that everybody seems to think that ultrasound's for the female. Ultrasound's for the male. I don't care where the female is. I just want to know where she is to know what to do with my male. If she's at 10 mil and this girl's at 22 mil, she's a priority for the breeding. And I had, I don't know, I would say we had at least 15 clutches this year out of almost 70 where the female got one lock. And guys that are cycling a male all the time without an ultrasound, now you've got an eye for it, Dave. You know what you're doing. But a relatively new guy coming in is like, is she building? Is she not? She's eating, but she's not on the hot side. She's not cold seeking. She's just acting normal, just hungry. And that is something that you can definitely, that's where you can use an ultrasound in your favor. We're not breeding one male to 27 females. We do maybe one big solid male, and we have 12 pairings with the anticipation that 8 might go. That's a reality. But even to cycle breed 12 females with one male without an ultrasound is challenging, because you want to get one. Let's say you want to get one lock on a female per month, then that's very, very hard to do with one male without an ultrasound to 12 females. Whereas with the ultrasound, I don't have to get a lock on them per month. I have to get a lock on them at the right time. And the beauty of an ultrasound is what it's allowed us to do is what we call stealing clutches. So you use one, and it doesn't always work. Sometimes it doesn't work, but you use one male to get her going, a big, solid, sturdy male. You use her to get her going while you're feeding your younger males. And when she hits 26, 27 mil, you pop that young male in and he locks her. You can steal the clutch with that young male. And that's just a strategy that you can use to, keep your young male who's 600 grams on the shelf and not put him off of food. Keep feeding him. Run your 1,200 gram male to that girl. Hopefully it's a good male still, so that if she takes his sperm, it's still a good clutch. But you can build her up to that 25 mil and then sneak a young male in and steal that clutch from that boy. That's a thing that we've done.
So
when do you start pairing, Will? Like, when you start, like I just ultrasounded this week. And I'm not in a hurry. I'm not even putting males in yet. I'm not even there yet. When do you start pairing those females? Like at what measurement?
So we like to get we like to do at least the first round of introduction. Mm-hmm. First round, maybe they lock, maybe they don't, but it gets a male into the system, gets the male kind of in breed mode, I think. But generally,
is that before you even ultrasound? Does it even matter what measurement they're at? Okay. Yeah,
just once we finalize the pairings, let's say this leopard puzzle is going in with these 5 girls. I'll run him through for the course of December. I'll run him in with those girls. And maybe he'll lock, maybe he doesn't. But going into January, we start to ultrasound those girls every 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. You can see a girl go from 5 mil to 18 mil and then sit at 18 mil for 4 months. And then all of a sudden, the next time, boom, she's at 30. And you're like, whoa. They can just jump, or they can sit at 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and then all of a sudden they're at 28. Within 3 weeks, they do that. And so ultrasounding every 3 weeks at least gives us the sort of the visibility to be like, okay, this female's, she's on the up and up, sure, her follicles are ramping up. Let's get a male in with her. And it's definitely, I would say it's definitely been a tool of our success. It's not the end all be all thing. Yeah. One of the things that I actually enjoy doing is opening a bin and being like, before we ultrasound, I'm like, she's at 22.
You can tell. Yeah.
You know what she's at before you ultrasound, just a reassurance.
Yeah.
Right. And that just comes with years of observing the behavior and what they're doing. That's all.
What do you do on those girls that aren't really building? They're eating, they're at 10 millimeters. Next month they're at 10. The next month they're at 10. And they go 6 months like that. Are you pairing those girls? Like,
Not much.
You don't want to burn a male out on those girls. So what do? You just feed them and wait?
Yeah. Oh, I might put a male in once every if they stay at 10. One of the nice things about an ultrasound is like that a lock after 28 mil, that female's going pretty much.
I don't even pair after that.
So what I do is I'll actually like scratch that female off the list. That's one less job for that male. Scratch another one off the list. Scratch another one. Now that male, instead of having 8, is down to 5 because these 3 girls are already done. Now I can focus on these 5 if they're at 10. And if he's in good shape, he'll go in with that girl that's at 10. And it's all just a balancing act, really.
So, and again, whoa, I said it twice. Write down the time, guys. We're going to edit this out.
Loco.
Loco is a motherfucker. Here's the thing. I'm still sipping this big can. We're 2.5 hours in. I mean, I could crack another one open, but I don't think I'm going to drink the next one any faster than this one. I'm already in over my head, in my opinion. But, and why did you have to bring a Four Loco? Now I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Oh, I do. So, my comment before, and this is where my argument is, and the what if factor of this. You're telling me about stealing the clutch, putting that male in that 20 millimeter range to steal what, in your opinion, the other male did to get her to that point. He warmed her up, man. He fluffed her. She is ready to go.
Yeah.
And you're going to hope that last male is going to get it going.
Yep.
But in my collection, and again, I can't tell you the exact percentage, that first male, first one there, no matter how many locks came after her, didn't even matter. Not that that job was done on day one, but that sperm wasn't fucking around, man. Like, it was in there. It was holding its territory. It beat off every other guy that showed up. Not literally.
Did
Well,
it now?
literally, you know what I'm saying.
But that's the alpha dog, bro. That's like that. It didn't matter who was breeding her after that. That's the.
So with the ultrasounding technique, your argument again is you're going to try to steal something later on in the game. You're going to let someone else do the work, and you're going to throw them in hopes of getting it there because you don't want to overwork your young male. And again, you have proven this theory to work. Otherwise, you wouldn't be saying it. You wouldn't be doing it year after year. But I guess my contradicting argument is just what if that first male was everything? And what if after just that one lock, based on feeding and the pheromones in the air from the guy next to that one breeding a female is enough? In corn snakes, it has been proven that if a female that has already gone to the point of ovulation or close to it, if you have a male in the bin next to it, if it picks up on those pheromones, it won't even touch that female that's prime. So how do we not know that that's not happening in ball pythons right now? Like, what if that first lock is everything and what we feed them afterwards could be the key? What if we could literally have a collection of ball pythons where all you have to do is get that first lock at 6 to 10 millimeters, and with consistent feeding and paying attention to the animal, what if you can get an ovulation just from that? We don't know if these 10, 6, 14 locks are the answer. This has not been broken down because no one's ever done this at a large enough scale.
So
People that have done a large enough scale have done these experiments, and I'll be honest, we'll talk about this after because I don't want to talk about it. There's been proven that certain things work. I know, right? The first time I shut the fuck up in 2.5 hours.
So I had that experience. I had a male 2 years ago that my own damn fault. We bred him young. He wasn't young. He was just small. And he died during the breeding season. And he had paired with 6 girls, ultrasounded just to get him started. And he died early in the season. And it was just sort of like, fuck, it was a pretty shitty loss. And we decided to, okay, let's hope he can, he's locked all these girls. Let's hope that he can push through. Let's hope that, his sperm is the one that gets it done. All 6 of those girls, 8 ovulated, and all 6 slugged out. And he was the only one.
Okay.
Now, could I have still managed to get production if I had have put a bigger male? Now, maybe that male was not viable, but I don't know. Maybe he was just shooting blanks because he was so spent. But yeah, it was just one of those situations. If I had have backed him up with another male, would all 6 have slugged out? I don't think so.
I agree with that. I mean, I'm a big advocate of backing up males. And I totally hear what you're saying on that one. Here's the thing again, we are, in my opinion, even though we've got this nailed down, okay, William, just let's put this in consideration. Let's say you have 100 females over there in your whole collection. I know that might not be the number. How many of those girls are going to go this year on average, based on what you've done up until this point in the hobby?
70.
Okay. Now, what if somebody without an ultrasound that did it completely opposite of you, and we'll talk about the sense of the podcast, got 90% every year? Would you change everything you do for that 20%?
I would definitely be asking them what they're doing to do that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I already told you what the campfire is, everybody. I'm not going to tell you this next tip, but when we get off the podcast, William, I'll let you know what, in my opinion, a very experienced guy told me, and I have a lot of faith in it because he's not the kind of guy who throws shit at the wall home sticks. That's not what I was looking for on that one. Nonetheless, I do think we're all figuring it out, and I think this all comes down to whatever works for your collection. Stay consistent. Yep. But I generally do believe there's always a better way of doing this. And also, because we don't do it this way, we don't experiment, we don't put 10 females to the side and try it a certain way. I think there's a lot of room for improvement in whatever we're doing right now. Now, William, I know you want to say something, but Ryan raised his hand, bud, and you've been on this podcast long enough to know what that means. So you're gonna have to wait. Okay. I know you want to interrupt him, but Ryan, you go right ahead, bud.
Dave's over here talking a lot of crap. He's like, I don't want to say what so and so said to me. How about you just anonymously drop the tip, because we have listeners here that are tuning in to hear what you have to say, Dave.
So, you cocksucker.
You cocksucker.
So, in a focus group of 100 female ball pythons that started breeding at 10 millimeters, and a focus group of 100 females that started breeding at 6 millimeters, with rotating the same amount of males through the same amount of females, the percentage between the two groups was higher on the 6 millimeter females consistently over years of breeding than the 10 millimeter females that we all wait for now. Is there something there? I don't know, but they've been proven consistent with that person. So maybe there's something there, maybe not. We, again, just like the fact that the Bowen's python, that comes up more than any other species on this fucking podcast, the holy grail, this mysterious fucking species we can't figure out, is figured out. Our Germany guys, I can't, Hans and, oh God, I hope it's Hans, otherwise that's racist. That sounds racist.
It's Franz.
No, that's definitely racist. Yeah. What are their names?
Hunter Franz.
Hunter Franz. That's the son. Okay, so that's Hunter. What's the son's name?
That's the dad.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
I forget.
Okay, I think that's close. I hope they're not listening right now for your sake. So they have now consistently 2 or 3 years in a row bred bullets. And okay, that's awesome. They took a species that we put in this impossible column. Even me back in like 10, 15 years ago, I was like, you know what the trick to this is? Somebody in Colorado needs to do it. I think it's an elevation thing. I think it's a pressure thing. I think if someone does it there, we're going to be great. But again, they treated the species like every other python they've ever had in their entire life and put in the same fucking rack system as their ball pythons or their Burmese pythons or reticulateds and expected to do the same fucking thing. They didn't pay attention to what it was doing in the wild. They didn't pay attention to the temperatures. They didn't pay attention to anything. These guys did. And other people have. And they found a way to make it work. So again, my opinion on ball python breeding as a whole, even though at that 70% mark sounds fucking fantastic, you know, what if we can get a little higher? Like, what if it could be 80? What if it could be 85 on average?
I think that's a real thing. I think it's a very real possibility that I have basically come to the conclusion that we don't have any fucking idea what we're doing. That's pretty much what I've come to the conclusion. We have an idea. We don't really, there's no real like science backing what we're doing. We're just kind of breeding snakes, you know, it's not, and then luckily ball pythons are relatively easy to breed. If ball pythons were like a Bowen's, then clowns would still be 30 grand. You know, like they're very, very hard. Ball pythons are relatively easy to breed. With a relatively high level of success, your percentage. You have 10 Bolin's pythons, the chances of you getting 7 to go are pretty low. Chance you have 10 ball pythons, you can probably get 7 to go. So,
well, I mean, Hans or
unless you're Jonas Franz, then you can definitely get them going.
yeah, I generally think, and again, the best thing you could tell any breeder in the industry, if they're not doing it already, if you just pay attention to the animals,
Sure.
eventually you're going to figure it out. It doesn't matter what species you work with. If you pay attention to the animal and you are literally so engulfed in the animals, you can be very successful. The best guys in this hobby do not have a life. I hate to say it. We are married to what we do. Now, mind you, people that are, when we talk to lower quantities that are selling at a higher dollar, you're right. I'm sure they have a life. But, certain corn snake guys, and leopard gecko guys, and hognose guys, and I don't give a shit, man. Garter snake guys. If you pay attention to the art form and you pay attention to the animals and you break it down, you could be successful. You could be better than the next guy. It's just, you got to pay attention to what you're doing. You can't always expect technology to give you what you need to do. You can't wait for someone else online to post their first lock to make you want a lock. You got to dial it in on your own, man. Every collection is going to be different. And that goes with every species across the board. And that's why generally I have a lot of respect for guys and I bring them up a lot. I've used this word already, fanboying. But goddamn, man, Vin Russo is one of my favorites. He works with a lot of different boa localities, works a lot of different species consistently over the years. He's humble and he runs an amazing business. I love the guy. I like that cat too. I don't want to talk about that. I've lost that cat. That's practically an ex-girlfriend at this point.
I actually was thinking about getting into. I forget which locality boa it was. And
give me a taste. Give me a little
that?
taste, and I'll tell you exactly what you're thinking.
So I actually it's a funny thing. Being a morph guy, right? I was a morph guy, and we had talked about maybe dabbling into some boas, but our biggest thing was we wanted small boas, and so there was a locality Vin was working with, and I was like, do you know if we could, if I bought one of these, could I sort of do what Garrick's doing with the super dwarfs? I take one of these, put it to a boa, get some colors, then go back and take smaller. And Vin Russo was kind of lose my number, bro. Like, this is my passion. I've been working with this pure locality for fucking 20 years, and you fucking punk want to come in and make it yellow? Like, fuck off. Realistically, that's what I was asking. I was like, is there any way I can take your super pure locality and make it a mutt? And he was just kind of like, dude.
Yeah. Then this is why both breeders have a bad name in the hobby, man.
Yeah, morph guy's brain.
This is why everybody throws ball python guys under the bus, because you're fucking hitting up fucking Vin Russo, and you're probably asking him for Hog Island boas that you can barely find in the wild at this point.
That's exactly what it was. It was a hog. It was a Hog Island. Yeah.
You son of a bitch. So here's the thing, and I'll be honest with you. When anybody at any show or anywhere online asks me about a special locality of boa constrictor that I want to be pure, I hit up Vin. I don't hit up Vin. I say your best bet is Vin, because Vin has a very diverse group of locality animals that he's kept pure over the years. Now, as for the whole crossing in boas, for the 2 or 3 people that actually do boas in this podcast that are listening, every boa mutation out there is a mutt. Because the reality is there was a heavy portion of the mutations we have are Colombian based, but our hypomelanistic did not come from Colombia. Now, Jeff Ronnie did introduce a pure Colombian hypo to the industry, God knows, maybe a decade ago, and it generally did not catch on. Panamanian lines, Central American lines, these are Hog Island lines, are all the natural hypomelanistic animals that are in the wild right now that went into every mutation. So when people hit you up and say, hey man, is your T positive Motley Jungle albino pure? No, it doesn't even matter if there's an hypo in it, because I guarantee you somewhere along the line there was a hypomelanistic animal within your pairing that got you to that point, even if your animal wasn't hypo that you bought from that litter. So in boas, it is a shit show. It's mutts. But again, how dare you hit up Vin and think that's fucking appropriate, bud?
Right?
How dare you?
I feel you, bro. I feel that. I got that vibe. He was like, are you kidding me? You actually asking me this? And I was just sort of like, yeah, man, can we make that Hog Island? Can we make it that size? But can we make a red dragon? And he was like you could just tell he just started like, fuck off.
Yeah, because you know what he was hearing in the back of his head? Hey, man, I got this CB70 over here, and I really don't want to change the way I'm doing things. What do I got to do to make your cool boa smaller, but in this color, so I can put it in there? And you know what he did? He cut you the fuck off, and I don't blame him, man. Like, how dare you?
When Forrest was working with the all the different monitors, he had the tree monitors. They're all Prasina, or I guess they're all. I don't know. Are they all Prasinas or not?
That's cool. I don't know either.
Yeah, they're the greens, the blacks, Rising Garai, and Bakari. And I asked him, I was like, yo, can we breed blue and green together? Make like a different. What if we breed black and yellow together? And Forrest, being like a purity guy, was just like, one of the things I like doing is I kind of like getting under people's skin a little bit. So at a show, I knew that would kind of bother him. And it was just like getting that little bit of a reaction. I'm like, what if we bred a black to a yellow? Could we do that? And then he just kind of like, are you fucking kidding me? I can't even get yellows to breed yellows. And you want to breed black? Fucking morph guy, get out of here. I find it funny.
I mean, here's the thing. I said this before. I follow a lot of pages for random animals they found in the wild, whether it's a deer mutation, a bird mutation. It doesn't matter. I get off on mutations. Right. I get off on it all day long. It excites me. You wanted to mix shit up. You get off on it too. I appreciate that. I'm not going to down you for it. Now, I'm sure there's about, we'll say, half our listeners that might not be happy about this, but we all get off a little different. It's 2020, buddy. Things are getting real weird. Like, I don't want to talk about this because we've talked enough about my penis at this point. Really, we're not going to dabble in this anymore. I might dabble some more, but I'm not dabbling now.
What about hybrids?
That's it. I was going to say that, man. Like, let's say corn snakes, man. There are multiple corn snake mutations out there right now, mainstream, that aren't even pure corn snakes. They are hybrids from Honduran crosses or king snake crosses and so on and so forth. But it almost got to the point where people just kind of stopped talking about it. I'm not going to specify the mutations. It doesn't really matter right now. And I went to a show one time and I saw Kevin at Nerd posted recently, or in the last calendar year, of like a Honduran, let's say corn snake, gray banded, whatever combo. And those things were fucking funky, man. Like, those were oddities. They were one of a kind. They in themselves almost look like a mutation, but they just were mixing a bunch of shit together and making some cool stuff. We're never going to release an animal back into the wild. Yeah, I know we let some. We're not going to pretend like we haven't. Not us. Not in this fucking group. But we're playing God over here, guys.
Right?
Just let it happen. This is we're enjoying ourselves. I'm sure when we bring a what does that do with anything?
That's classic.
I'm sorry, if you don't Daytona like that, your Daytona ain't wrong, buddy. Like, step up your game. Like, just there's an appeal to everybody in this hobby. Don't fuck with someone's appeal. Okay, cool. You want to work with something? Cool, work with something. Don't shit on someone else's stuff, prick. Like, get over yourself. Like, people are going to do what they're going to do. This is a hobby. We are playing around. We're doing things. Like, I don't know what's going on with the fish hobby. I don't know what's going on in the bird community. I don't know if people are breeding macaws to parakeets and making some weird hybrids. I don't know what's going on. I know somebody, so that really badass cat that I have, and I know Justin bought one too, the Lycoy from Brittany, the werewolf cat. I know somebody made a midget version of a werewolf cat this past year, and that was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And that post on Facebook got torn apart. How tragic is that? Like, this is not just our community, it's all communities. And, maybe there is, in some people's opinion, what's that real special word I'm looking for in my head? But I drink a Four Loko and I can't say words over 6 letters at this point.
A limit?
No, that's 6 letters, bro. No, it's 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's 5. It's 5. No, oh man, I don't even know what the word is. Oh, we're gone. We're not gonna get there. I don't know. A standard? Let's settle a standard. I had a
Okay.
fancy word than standard, but there's no standard in this. There's no rule book in ball python breeding or any other species. There's no rule on what we're gonna charge when we produce the animal. This is we charge what we charge, and this is a whole nother conversation. And if someone pays it, that's the market moving forward. And when someone watches someone else pay that, they're going to pay the same thing because they'll see that first one sell at that price, and then they'll buy theirs at their price. I don't know. Ben, you got a great memory. How did Graziani say it? He had a great quote in his thing about this.
Oh, crap.
When one person buys it, it's crazy. But what was it? When a second person buys it, it's now an investment or I don't even know. I feel ashamed.
If one person buys it, it's crazy, but if two people buy it, it's a trend, I think he said.
Yeah, let's go with that. Because I don't think Graziani has ever said the word trend before, but I like that. Like I said, this hobby's no rules, man. You want to make a hybrid, if that makes you happy, that's going to keep you involved in it. That's going to keep you excited. Now, for the guy that doesn't want the hybrid, crazy idea right now. Maybe you shouldn't buy from that guy. But you don't have to badger his business and tell him it's a dog shit idea. He's happy as can be over there, man. He didn't make that post because he thought it was a horrible idea. He made that post because he had worked on it for years and he did it. I don't know, man. There's so much stuff always going on in this hobby and no one knows. 2002, I saw a Amazon to a Emerald Basin, and it was this beautiful red animal. And I imagine that animal all the time. I'm just saying, do what you want. I don't care. Other people care. Karens. We're talking about Karens right now, but you know what I'm talking about.
So going back to ball python, what's your I always ask you, what's like if you're like a genie in a bottle type scenario where you can just pick a combo, you have it in your collection now. What is it?
It would probably be kidnapping Justin and locking him in a shed. Does that work? Like just, put him out there, feed him, and just ask him what to do next? Like, I don't know. Does that work?
I mean,
is it a possibility? Now that I said it, it's probably not a possibility, is it? I fucked that up.
It's maybe, I'm not sure if that's more creative or less creative than what I was thinking.
Okay. Let's talk about William. What do you know about Dan Wolf?
Well, we can answer.
Limited.
Wait. Ben, I want to talk about Dan Wolf. Ben, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say we can answer Will's question.
Oh, Will had a question?
He said, what combo, if you could just have any combo right now, what would it be? And
Justin in the shed. That's two things. That's a combo, bro.
What about Chad?
Yeah.
Well, Chad's great, but, I'm sorry, Chad. You just started buying Desert Ghost like 2 days ago. I'm not doing that.
What was that, Dave?
Oh, I just said I have a lot of respect for you, but you're not shed quality. You're a showcase buddy. I'm not going to lock you up in a shed.
So, Chad, what's your combo that you would take?
Dude, it's a hard question. A Desert Ghost Clown Pied wouldn't suck. And I think a lot of people are thinking that. Like, those are like the top 3 recessives to put together. I mean, that would be a cool one. I don't know, dude. I'm like really like digging dark morph stuff now. So, I don't know. Desert Ghost Pied, Desert Ghost Clown with all the dark stuff in there. Like, that's what I'm thinking.
See, I'm trying to think of like one of the directions that I'm definitely heading is Desert Ghost Axanthic Clown. And
yeah, dude.
I'm in my head. I don't know if it's like if it'll turn out the way I'm thinking, but like a spot nosed yellow belly DG Axanthic Clown should be like fucking like pure white body, TV static all down the sides and a crazy pattern. And just like I don't think you can get much more contrast than like DG Axanthic combos, especially as you get into like man, it's gonna be fucking nuts.
So I don't mean to interrupt. And 3 hours, 1 minute, 30 seconds. We can take this out. Now I'll be honest. I have finished this can of Four Loko, and I do have another one about 20 feet away.
Are you gonna do the other one?
I know it's past your bedtime right now. Are we gonna keep this going a little longer? Or should I not bother getting another can? Like, where are we at in life?
I'm good. You tell me.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna walk away. We're gonna keep this going because I'll be honest, I'm pretty happy right now. I think we're doing good. You guys just stay right here. I'll be right back.
20 feet away.
What's your
Yeah.
comment, Ryan?
Probably a blackhead Rio clown.
Nice.
Speaking of Dan Wolf,
I've been thinking about like super blackhead desert ghost stuff too. I mean, I'm really digging the way like the dark stuff looks in that, and super blackhead combos. You know, I was looking at like, shit, I can't remember now. These super blackhead combos with lavender, like those are so cool,
yeah.
man. Those are
Yeah.
so
So
cool.
nice.
Just redo that with desert ghosts, like that kind of stuff is like what I want to do.
Yeah.
speaking
I made
of
some last year. I made some black pastel, blackhead, double hat DG clown girls.
Nice.
So I've got those now at like 1,000 gram, 1,200 gram range, and
Hell yeah.
I'm like, dude, I can't wait. I want to put like, so as much as I want to see it dark in there, I also want to see like some like blackhead spot nose, yellow belly, Enchy DG clown.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, dude, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm so excited about the future of that project because it just, you know, that take a clown combo that you're like, this is sick. It's fucking twice as good with DG. So,
Oh yeah.
you
The
know,
blacks are blacker, and the lighter colors are lighter. You know, it just ups the
they don't
contrast.
brown out. They stay nice through adulthood. They're like, they're just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous animals. One of my favorite. It's my favorite project for sure. Is Desert Ghost. But I'm not gonna lie. I've been paying attention to some hypo stuff recently.
Yeah, man, that people sleep on that hard. But
Yeah.
someone, I can't, dude, I'm terrible with names. Someone posted up like a super orange dream, yellow belly hypo with maybe Inchy in it or something. Unbelievable.
Oh yeah. I think hypo is gonna work awesome with the OD stuff. The Orange Dream hypo project is like,
yeah, for sure.
fucking amazing.
So, does anybody find it weird that we're talking about hypo right now? Like,
I feel like it's real
so
weird.
peculiar that
All these genes,
Benjamin-
look, you're talking about red stripe and you're talking about all these other little subtle genes that keep coming back like Sable. Hypo can do the same thing.
I agree, and I'm not even gonna fight you on that. Ben, here's your job. What year did the first hypo get produced? Don't act like you know. Google it. I didn't ask you because I thought you knew.
I'll say
you know?
98, 99.
98, 99, the same year as the clown?
I'm gonna say 96.
I'm thinking
Maybe,
like a 95, 96 on this one.
Might be right. Yeah.
But, again, this all comes down to reinventing a gene that's been literally there forever. And we're going to start all over, and God knows what it's going to be worth in a year. Because, again, it's a recessive, and we are a recessive mindset right now.
1994.
94?
Do you see the ball python market staying in a recessive mindset?
Honestly, here's the thing. I don't know. I've only been doing this for 3 years. I don't know why you keep asking me questions like this, bud. Like, no, I here's the thing. Outside looking in, it's really hard to say. I could see, fuck, man. Here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Why not? Because the reality is we haven't even seen that many hypo combos in our day. Only a couple of them stand out to me over the years. The Mimosa was a big highlight in the industry for a while. Mimosa might be the biggest hypo combo that was like that one that I really took control.
GHR Mojave hypos are nice too.
Yeah, Mojave hypos are pretty sick. Hey, when we were talking about this recently, just talking about things that went away and came back. What was that Mojave line we brought up recently? It was like a gold dust or
Gold Blush.
Gold Blush.
Gold Dust Mojave.
yeah, we talked about that recently. Like, anybody own any Gold Blush or is it Gold Blush, right?
Gold Blush. Yeah, that's a Gold Blush.
Right. I'm gonna need you to hold my hand. I've
It's
taken
not-
one sip of the second can of Four Loko. We're already gone too far. So
It turns out they're two separate genes. There's a Gold Blush gene and there's a Mojave gene.
Yeah.
okay. So where's the Gold Blush gene now?
A couple of people are working with it. So I was surprised because we were talking to a guy. It was only like last month, and that's when we found out that Gold Blush was its own separate gene.
Yeah.
So they were able to. What's his name? What?
Brian? Earl or Brian?
Brian Gundy was able to separate the two genes, and now it's definitely a Mojave and a Gold Blush.
Yeah.
So there was some kind of enhancer gene in the original.
Yep.
Not a line bred trait.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well that's pretty interesting. So we could be coming back to this in like 4 years and talking about it.
Do you remember the black belly? I remember talking to you about this, Dave. That I thought I was so slick and being like, yo, remember that gene? It's like an old gene. I'm gonna bring it back. And you're like, yeah, I have like 12 of those in my collection. I'm like, oh.
I had like one, and I bred it to like a hypo pie combo, and I was like, yeah, I got it. But here's the cool thing. Now, what really levels out your head? Everybody in the industry should have a Mike Schultz. You know what the best thing about a Mike Schultz is? Mike Schultz, in his time in 12 years of working with Outback, probably saw, I don't know, 20 to 50,000 imported ball pythons a year. What do you mean it's not inappropriate?
No. You said, what the best thing about a Mike Schultz is, and my first thought was very inappropriate. So
we could talk about that after. Baby steps, buddy. But nonetheless, with Mike Schultz. So Mike Schultz had seen an average of 20 to 40,000 imported ball pythons a year going into working with Nerd. So when Mike came and started helping us out, which again, so happy to have a guy like that on our side, I took him through the Dinker wall. All the Ben Dinker stuff. That there were multiple versions of it, and I showed him every one. And based on his reaction to the mutation was the effort that I put in this year. There are a lot of subtle things that maybe we don't need to fuck with, and there might be some stuff that we think's genetic but might not be genetic. But again, the reality is almost every other species in the industry, there is a element of line breeding. I haven't seen it in almost any, well, not any python species, but mainstream python species. You haven't seen a whole lot of line breeding happening. So the reality is where we know codom, dom, recessive, so on and so forth, we never even acknowledged the possibility of something being a line bred trait. I'll be honest, I have no idea where we're at right now. Well, how did we get here? What was the question? Why am I talking right now? Can someone help me?
How we got here is Dave had 2 4 locos, and that's how we got here.
It was black belly.
Oh,
and
it froze. It's not awkward.
I felt a little bit, just first year breeding them.
I hope you guys come back.
I think it's a cool project. Oh, he's gone.
Wow, it's real quiet. It's real quiet all of a
Since
sudden.
Dave's gone, let me ask you about black bellies because, like, they made that. What was it? A yellow jacket that was like the combo with pastel.
Yeah.
Nothing else happened with it. Like, I heard rumors that there was like issues with genetics not really working out true. I don't know.
I think that's a real. I shouldn't say because I don't know for sure.
Yeah, right.
But, from my experience, which is super fucking limited, like 3 clutches, very hard to ID without pastel in it. Pastel it pops. It's like wow, like it's gorgeous. But I made like an Enchi black belly, and I was sort of like, this thing looks like an Enchi, and then you flip it over, and it's got a black belly. You're like, okay, that's the only thing that it's doing.
Nothing
and then
exciting.
I made like red stripe version, and same thing. It's the only red stripe I've ever made with a black belly.
Yeah,
a little darker.
that's weird.
And I've heard that there's issues with females. I don't know that for certain. See, look at the belly on it. Yeah, it's a very dark, rich combo, rich morph. But look at the yellow jacket. That thing is fucking nice. But I bred a female this year, and she slugged. And I've heard there's issues with people getting females going. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea. But I told a couple of guys that I'm working with that I had a female slug, and they were like, "You got a female to do something?" And I was like,
"Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's the main thing." Oh, Dave's on the other side. There he is.
Was I out of the loop when I bought this? Starting to feel like it, but regardless, look at that. That's fucking awesome. I have a pastel orange dream black belly, 50% het clown female.
No way.
I bred her to a Desert Ghost clown. and she slugged, and I was like, fuck, could you like? I was just thinking like a yellow jacket clown, and then it being Desert Ghost.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
So I apologize for leaving.
No, that's
Technical
okay.
difficulties. So to sum up what I was saying though, so when Mike worked for Outback, there was a black belly gene.
Mhm.
I think Freedom Breeder has a black belly gene. What I bred this year might not have been your black belly gene. Similar to like people having a Harlequin gene. Not everyone's Harlequin gene is a Harlequin. It's a very, we all use Harlequin a lot. So my black belly might not be a black belly. It was a pastel black belly, but is it? Not what you have. I only came in at the end of that picture. What I'm doing, I do not think it's the same thing.
Dave, tell us about Tri-Stripe. Where's that going? What's
You know what I'd rather talk about? Can we talk about where it's been and where it could go?
Yeah.
So again, this is a good chat conversation. You know when I should have bought into Tri-Stripe? When I was at a show in like Alabama in like 2008, where a guy had him on his table and had no faith in the project and offered him for $300 a piece.
God
and I
damn.
said, you know what? That looks awful. I don't want anything to do with it. But at that point of the hobby, I was not building on that project. Now, I like Tri-Stripe. I think Tri-Stripe has potential. I think there's going to be a little fussing and feuding because the reality is there's a lot of people with Tri-Stripe out there. There was a dude in the industry a couple years ago or last year that bred just random ball pythons in his collection and made Tri-Stripe. Now, I think that is a good building block project because if you have any faith in genetic stripe being worthy of a second comeback, if you don't feel the same way about Tri-Stripe, you're out of your fucking mind.
The one for me, if you go to Darren Stair's Instagram page, the pastel Desert Ghost Tri-Stripe, bro, I offered Darren the moon and back for that animal, for that male. I was like, that male. And it was one of those males that like it doesn't come around often. I saw it and was like, holy fuck, like I have to have this. And Darren was like, no, dude. And it just kind of sucked. I was like, fuck. I really, really want that. And he's like, I'll put you on the list. And like see, that's fucking sick, man. Look at that. And I don't know if you guys have seen it. The leopard Tri-Stripe is what gave me hope with the whole project. The whole project, leopard Tri-Stripe. I was like, that's fucking dope.
You know what's really funny? Going back to the puzzle project, when I saw leopard in the first leopard puzzle, I was like, well, son of a bitch, that doesn't look very good. Yep. And then this year, we saw more with combinations, and I was like, wow, I'm putting all my puzzle males in every single significant leopard female in my collection this year because this is the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Dude, it's insane.
But this all comes down to following the trends and letting someone else do the work for you. We see what someone does, it piques our interest, and we chase it. And that's the way it's always going to be because there's always going to be trendsetters, even though there is.
Fuck.
That's the coolest snake. That's the top snake right there, dude.
Yeah.
Bro, same.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
Same. Look at that.
Yeah. And undabbled in. You know what? I remember Tinley back in like the early teens. Fucking Snakekeeper had banana. What you got there? You got to send that shit to Benjamin.
Leopard
You and
Tri-Stripe.
Benjamin got to be friends. Hey, Benjamin, you want to bring him off the big screen?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't see that picture. That's actually really incredible.
Right?
Yeah.
Shit, bro, that's like, okay, now we got a platform to run with.
Yeah. No, and again, recessive is key right now. It's a recessive mindset. We just talked about hypo a minute ago, guys. 1994? We're talking about hypo.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember what I was doing in 94. Like, this is again, you develop a project into something unique and you happen to hit that 100 million shot at something amazing that can be built on, and people will want to build on it with you. That's all it is. We need to see a few good Tri-Stripe projects. We need to see a few good hypo projects this year. There are people, dude, the Huffman Project.
Yeah.
A really unique allelic project with cinnamon, and all the other genes that are allelic with cinnamon. Not that I forgot them, guys. Fuck off. I know what they are. I love Huffman. I think Huffman has potential.
Mackenzie.
But it was, again, there was a glimpse, there was a moment, and then it faded away. And then someone's going to do something in a recessive, and we're all going to get excited. Somebody made a black pastel Huffman Pied this year, and it was blacker than a Suma Pied. It was amazing. Absolutely unbelievable looking animal. Again, how many genes do we have out here, William? 210, 220, 250 different genes and ball pythons right now?
Tons.
Yeah, it's endless. It's just pick one, make it your focus. We all hope you pick the right one. See what happens. Could make or break your entire company.
So Ben, you guys work with Lori, right?
We do.
Which one?
Lori.
Oh, that's those guys. I don't fuck with that.
Yeah.
So, now, do you think that I've heard rumors that that's another line of Het Red A?
So the way we look at it is we think that it could be I haven't heard of anybody crossing the two yet, but we do think it's very, very similar. The thing is, though, the Super Loris, I can tell a Super Lori versus a Het Red every time because the Super Loris stay more silver. They look exanthic into adulthood, whereas Het Reds kind of brown out a little bit more.
Well, the Super Lori would be the similar, the comparable would be a red exanthic.
Yeah, red exanthic, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know much about the project. It's always been something that I had heard rumors early on that it was a Het Red, and I just sort of Het Red wasn't my thing. So yeah, look at that thing. That's nice.
That's an adult Super Lori.
Yeah, well.
So it's not just a xanthic line; it's a pattern mutation too.
Right.
Yeah,
so it's not
very much so.
recessive. It's a codominant
Right.
gene, you know.
And
But it looks exanthic.
so
It has a pattern.
proven allelic. If you brought it to a Het Red, you'd make something. If you brought it to a cinnamon, black pastel, whatever, you're gonna make something. Am I right?
Yeah.
But again, and I've had this argument in the past, if you had to pick in this very moment between a Het Red exanthic or a Lori based on a couple animals you've seen, just like if you wanted to pick between cinnamon and black pastel, William, where are you going to invest your money right now? Het Red exanthic, or do you see more potential in a Lori project? Don't worry, I'm sure Corey Wood will not show up and cut you if you say Lori. So I want you to keep that in consideration. Canada's really big, but I'm sure you live really far away from each other.
No, I haven't touched Het Red at all. However, I did see the Het Red clown and was really impressed. And I think one of the things that you can just I hate to use this comparison, but is Wookiee and chocolate similar? Yes.
William, I'm going to
Is that
stop
a
you
hot
right now.
topic to talk
You're
about?
gonna
Because
for
that's
20
what I've thought about
seconds
Wookiee the
to
whole
edit this
time.
out.
What?
I don't want to have this conversation. We've seen the supers. They're not the same thing. This is not a conversation.
I know they're not, but a lot of the combos are very similar, and that maybe just because it's a dark gene and that's what dark genes do. But one of the things that I know is that Wookiee, well, I don't know for certain, but based on Justin's video, it does not appear that Wookiee is allelic with spotness, which would mean it's not in the chocolate complex.
Hey, Chad, I interrupted you, bud. You go right ahead. No, Chad.
Same,
Chad,
I was saying the same thing you guys were saying. It seems like that's like a touchy thing to talk about because that's an expensive gene that looks very similar to chocolate, which isn't very expensive. So it's one of those things that like a lot of people don't want to talk about. Yeah, I saw the Super in Daytona. It is a little different, but like Will said, a lot of those combinations look just like chocolate combos.
So I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to lean back and drink my Pro Loco. 250 ball python genes, guys. You don't think a couple are going to look the same every once in a while, even if they're different? Like, how diverse you need them to look to jump on board? Now I'm getting the fuck out of here.
I know that I know that they're not the same. I've hatched chocolates. I've hatched lots of Wookiees now, and I can say that when you had a lot of chocolates, man, I look at them and I'm like, is that a chocolate? like they have like a base Wookiee. It's like it's very, very in your face. Like it's something.
Or it's more high expression and stays consistent that way.
Yeah, it may just be like it's like a chocolate that's just better. I guess. They're really nice, and I've seen enough combos now between the two of them. Like I have a chocolate GHI. It does not look like the Wookiee GHI that I've seen made. And so like you see 3-4 of those combos where like I have a chocolate version of it and I see the Wookiee version. I'm like, whoa, these are and I don't. As a general rule, right? A dark gene is in a complex with another one. Blackhead is like it's allelic with like a spider or that whole weird.
Is it?
It is, yeah.
All right. Tallgrass proved that out. I mean, I honestly, that's the first time I've heard that.
Was one of the first things like was done with Blackhead real early on was the spider, and it looks like
crazy,
right?
Because it turns the blackhead spider looks like a normal.
Yeah.
Man. And then you breed that, and it throws spiders and blackheads.
Okay. I mean, I remember at Tallgrass talking to them one time, and they had normal ball pythons to their table that were spider blackheads. Much respect. We all had, someone had to do it first. Thank you for that. But yeah, I didn't realize it was an allelic trait. That's the first time I've ever heard that before.
And if it's allelic with spider, there's a very good chance it's allelic with champagne, and allelic with spot nose, and allelic with that sort of complexy stuff. Might be allelic with, I don't know. We don't know. No, it's not allelic. So Cypress spot nose is not. But yeah, it's just where the hell? Oh, Wookiee. A lot of those dark genes are allelic with something else. And to my understanding, we have not found a dark gene or an allelic expression with Wookiee yet.
Okay, guys. Can I say one thing really quick?
Yeah.
I think we just peaked.
Wow.
Everyone's falling asleep over here. It's getting late. William's struggling to get words out of his mouth. I think we're going to come back to this at a future date. I think 3 hours and 24 minutes is pretty good. William, if you want to finish your argument, I'm all about it, but I do agree with you. The simple combos that you've done with Wookiee on your side compared to what you've done with Chocolate are completely different. It is a dark mutation. The comparison of the two is very silly, and that's just my point of view, and I have zero stock in Wookiee. Zero stock whatsoever. I have no reason to back the project. I have no reason to say it's not. But honestly, the combos are different. I don't know why everyone's so hung up on it. Like, I don't even understand why it's a discussion. This comes down to what I've said in the past. I tell Chad something that's not right, and then he calls William and tells him, and he tells Ben, and then he tells Ryan, and all of a sudden it's a fucking fact. Like, yeah. That's it. I mean, that's all it takes is it to exchange more than one person in this hobby, and it's a fact. And now we have to spend 6 months to a year proving that fact wrong because one person one time had an opinion, like a guy like Dave. A lot of opinions, guys. Don't believe them all when it comes to mutations. Right. Everything else is true. I back up everything else I say.
For sure.
But we can keep going if you guys want, but I'll be honest, William, you look a little sleepy over there. You've been blinking a lot. I saw you take your Christmas sweater and use it as a pillow 5 minutes ago.
I did not.
You look done, bud. You look spent.
Look, Dave, just tell everybody you drank too much Four Loko and you need to go take a piss. It's all fine, man. Like, you've been talking a lot tonight. You got to have some rest.
Let me tell you something, bud.
Dave never looks tired. That's one thing about Dave. He never looks tired.
Yeah, I'm always amped up, guys. You guys are my energy. Like, I'm pretty 100% until I lose somebody. Once William goes to bed and Chad goes to bed, I mean, look at Ben over there, Spotify guys, who's not watching this video. He's rubbing his eyes. He's exhausted. Like, I'm just saying. I mean, I don't want to be the guy because usually I peak first, but I'll be honest. William peaked. I saw him peak a second ago. He's exhausted. You have to work tomorrow. You got a 9 to 5, bud. You're not a full-time ball python breeder.
Me?
You can admit to it. Don't you have a job?
I mean, I work from home from another job, but basically it's not. Yeah, basically
it counts. It counts. It's not embarrassing, bud. You have a job. in America, that's huge. Good for you,
Yeah.
bud.
Right? Yeah.
Well, there we go. We peaked.
Chad, do you work tomorrow?
To me, yeah. I got to be up at like 5:30 or so.
Yeah, Chad's gonna not save someone's life tomorrow. I hope everyone's happy right now. I'll be honest.
No, I'll be there. I'll just have extra coffee.
Yeah, you'll make a cameo at your first firefight. I get
I'll be
it.
fine. I'll be fine.
That's cool. It's cool. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and make the call right now. Ryan? No, well, you know what? We can keep going, but hour and 30 attention spans.
Dave,
William, we're losing
Dave.
William.
Dave,
It is. I am fading. I was up early today.
William's fading, guys.
Dave,
You know what?
Dave.
What's up, Ryan? I'm sorry.
Just shut up and I'll take us out.
Take us out, bro. Take us out. But I need you to be a lot closer to the camera. I can't. You're like a blurry. You look like Sasquatch back there, bro.
Guys, thank you so much for watching the podcast. Will, I apologize that you didn't get 2 words in edgewise. Dave.
Oh, we did, man. It was good. This is what it should be.
You're a prince.
Discussion.
Love you. Thank you so much, Chad, for coming in. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Show us some love. Check us out on Spotify, YouTube. Oh, Jesus. Where are we at? Pandora. All these places. Much love. Peace, guys.
Thank you, guys. Hey,
Thanks, guys.
the 5 of us cannot wait to see you guys again on Easter. I'm going to go ahead and set it in stone right now. We're doing this again. William, you now have however many months it is from Easter to find an Easter outfit. If you are not in a full bunny outfit on the next podcast, you are dead, bro. Fucking dead.
I got you. Do you guys do Easter at a different time than we do?
It doesn't matter. I'll let you know.
Yeah, it's 2 months in advance to you guys.
You are a top hat. You're just covering a bald spot. You know where you're at in life.
Bro, look at that shine.
I like that. Way to embrace it. I wasn't even bald joking you. I was talking about America, but goddamn, why don't you never wear a hat?
Bro, I let it grow out a little bit, and then I took the trimmers and just shaved the middle. I was gonna send you a picture. I had the full fucking horseshoe. Oh, it was glorious.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I had a total idea for this week's podcast art. I've got a real Mr. Clean thing going on right now. I might do a little side thing. Like, this is, you got me, buddy.
Hi, buddy.
But, hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. Everybody signing off. What a great fucking day. I love you guys.
Awesome.
It was great, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Shit, I mean, we might as well go ahead and introduce Chad as our official holiday guest. He'll be on all our holiday podcasts moving forward, but only the important ones.
Okay.
And might as well get a little background on William. I'm sure nobody knows who the fuck he is, so we might as well let him have a little bit of an intro. And
We
just
gotta get your name out there, man.
William, you couldn't even get like a bow or something and put it on your fucking hat. Like, you really had to be so anti-Christmas, bud.
Bro, I went and bought a Christmas shirt, and it's like a tablecloth. It's like
I don't see the problem here, buddy. Whoa. Let's see that thing really quick. Otherwise, I'm going to bring it up on the podcast and make you go put it on like an old lady got.
Bro, I went to we don't have Walmart here. Well, we have them, but not where I live.
I was about to say, what the fuck do you mean you don't have Walmart there? Everyone has
This
Walmart.
thing is fucking. I bought an XL because I'm a fat ass, and it's like a 4XL.
Buddy, I bought a 2XL men's sweater.
What's that?
So this is a 2X men's sweater. This thing's awesome. It's got jingle bells all over it.
Nice.
I don't have that kind of swag, man.
Unbelievable, Will. I'll be honest. I'm just going to be fucking with you this entire time about the whole Grinch attitude that you brought in, and fucking Ryan not reading the memo. No one gives a shit. Like, Christmas episode, guys. Way to put in real fucking effort. Okay.
I apologize.
I think we're missing out on some good shit talk right now. Let's go ahead and get this thing rolling.